between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits, you can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now. down. We're searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air, like a blazing flare. Just stare, 'cause the flames will burn us out. You're the one for me, that's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Kiss your head when you cry for me. Keep
Welcome ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Motive Racing YouTube channel here on a Sunday night for the GT3 Championship here on Assetto Corsa Competizione on the PlayStation 5 platform. We're here for round 3 of season 3 here tonight. We've got the tier 2s out on the track right now at a track which many of you will recognise as the Circuit of the Americas. Yes, we are finally racing here at COTA at Motive on ACC. It has been a long time since since COTA's been out on ACC on the PlayStation 5. I think it was November when the American track pack finally came to next gen consoles, and we are finally able to stream it live here with a race at COTA, which is absolutely great. We've raced at COTA before here at Motive, but only on Project Cars 2, never on ACC, so it's going to be interesting to see what the pace is like compared to Project Cars 2. I think that the track is a lot quicker on Project Cars 2 than what it is on ACC. I think lap times I've seen sort of 203s, 204s in the GT3s on Project Cars 2. On ACC, I think it's a very different kettle of fish indeed. So we're going to see how that plays out tonight. But currently we've got 21 drivers in for the tier 2s tonight. I think we're supposed to have 23, so we should hopefully have a couple more drivers jumping in before we get to the end of this qualifying session. But this is the third qualifying session of the season here at Motive for the tier 2 GT3s, and as I say, I'm delighted to be here in Austin, Texas on this game for tonight, as we've got a couple of drivers still in the pits. Looks like Day and Drew the Great still sat in the boxes at the moment. They're just biding their time, maybe making a few adjustments to their setups before they take to the track. But everybody else is out there on the circuit at the moment. I want to quickly read through the championship standings coming into tonight whilst we're on right now, as I feel like it would give us a little bit of background info into I don't know, just other things in the championship other than the action out on track. So coming into this round, it was Titan Guto who was leading the championship. He is now been promoted early into tier 1, so actually our new championship leader as of tonight is Robe. So Robe in the number 75 McLaren leads the championship on 69 points from Guido Christ, who sits in second place on 60 points. Then you've got Capriga sat in third on 58 points, followed by Luke van der Street, who sits in fourth on 54 points. He's not here tonight, so he will lose points undoubtedly. You've got Rusty Man sat in fifth in the standings on 51 points. He's also not here tonight, so that's two drivers who aren't here out on track, so that's obviously a shame to lose them tonight. But you got Tumbaz sat in sixth in the standings. He sits on 48 points, and he is here tonight driving the number 82 Porsche. You got Diego sat in seventh in the standings on 43 points in the Ferrari. Then you've got in eighth in the standings Andrew, who is on 43 points. Should be a lot higher in the championship, to be fair. He's had rotten luck this season with disconnections and just general issues here and there. So Andrew, hopefully if his connection can stay rigid tonight, will be in with a shout of some good points. You've got Day 666, who races with us also on Project Cars 2. Always, he's just binned it there, coming through the middle part of the lap, what that looks to be, I think. He sits 9th in the standings on 41 points, followed by Exeron, who sits in 10th place in the standings, completing the top 10 in the championship points at the moment on 40 points. And Exeron did actually incur the wrath of the stewards in the this afternoon when I finally had a chance to actually look at the incidents and the steward reports, basically for an unsafe rejoin at Zolder. So he's picked up 10 penalty points. Obviously if you get to 75 points you get kicked out of the championships, and if you get to 15 points you get a qualifying ban. So Exeron needs to be on his best behaviour for the next 4 months, because the penalty points take 4 months to be wiped off of your licence, so he needs to be careful. But that's the big news from last week. Also a driver who's on 1 reprimand for this week, and indeed for the foreseeable future, is Nath J. Fletch, who picked up a reprimand for a small little tap with Day 666, which unfortunately did cause a bit of damage to the front right of Day's car. So those two guys incurred the not so great side of the stewards room, but nonetheless looking to come back here stronger than ever tonight, as we've got Chinesky putting the first lap time on the board here in this qualifying session. Nobody else has put a time on the board at the moment, so they're just taking their time at the moment. Looks like everybody's just kind of get their tyres up to temperature. GPL's gone into second place at the moment on a 2:11.2, but these two are the only lap times on the board at the moment. as Thomas just pops in a 209.1, as Andrew goes top of the board there on a 208.5, 7 thousandths of a second ahead of Robe. So the time's coming in thick and fast at the moment, but it's currently Andrew who leads the leaderboard at the moment ahead of Robe. You've got Tumbaz in third, who's 6 tenths off of Andrew's time. Kangi in fourth place. You've got Coding Monkey in fifth. Emaford currently sat in sixth in this qualifying session right now, with Chinaski seventh. Diego's just popped in a time goes off for 8th place there. GPL in ninth. Sparky Franchise has just been knocked down to P11. That's because Guido Christ has gone into 6th place, but Sparky Franchise and Caprigia, 12 drivers currently putting a time on the board. Everybody else still just biding their time in this session. Maybe there's a few invalidations in terms of lap times. This Circuit of the Americas is pretty uncompromising for invalid lap times. It's very hard to get a valid lap in, and we've heard the drivers saying in the ACC PS5 chat on the Discord server that they're just hoping not to get a drive-through tonight. That's the target for a lot of drivers. Just don't get a drive-through penalty over the course of the evening. How challenging is that going to be? I guess we're going to have to wait and see on that one. But we've got a few comments coming in live on the Motive Racing channel right now. We've got here we go. We've got Glenn saying, "Have a good race, spur time. I'll be taking notes for later on." Spur time responding saying, "Okay, mate, cheers." Obviously, those two good mates. Glenn does race in Tier 1, raced with us last season, and therefore got his spot in the Tier 1 for this season. Spur time only raced, I think, in one or two races last season, so didn't earn a spot in Tier 1, but nonetheless, just learning his trade once again this season in Tier 2. We've got Totally Zero K says, "Hi everyone, good luck racers." Totally Zero K, one of our biggest fans actually on the channel. Great to see him again, and always chimes in whenever we're live, so thank you very much. We appreciate you, Totally Zero K. We got Pete 888 UK says, "Glenny Babe supporters, grub is the house." Okay, totally zero. Okay, Andrew Revenge Race, he says. Obviously Andrew was very unlucky last week with his disconnection, but looking to try and fight back here this week at Circuit of the Americas. Scooter Paul says, "Evening races, hopefully this will be as close as the insane Daytona 24-hour LMP2 finish of .016. That is 16 thousandths of a second was the winning margin in the LMP2 at the Daytona 24-hour. Insane stuff." Okay, Scoot says, Pete. Also, Raki in the comments saying, "Good evening all. Good to see Raki once again, and I've got some exciting news. That is, Raki will be out on track later on. It will be his first appearance this season on the Motive channel. Used to race us very regularly in the F1 and the ACC PS5 leagues, but for this season he's had to take a small sabbatical as he's not always around on a Sunday night. But tonight he will be out on track for the Tier 1, racing as a reserve. No point putting him as a reserve in this league. We know he's quick enough for the Tier 1s, so I'll be excited to see him back out on track. He's been getting plenty of practice in on the PC version of this game, but I don't know if he's a bit rusty on the PS5 side. Hopefully it's not too different. It's the same sort of handling model. It's still the 1.8 version, but I think the PC one's still a little bit quicker than what we've got on the console side of things. Belito in the comments says, "Hello all, welcome along Belito." Belito races with us on Mondays and Thursdays in our Clio Cup and Touring Car Championships on Project Cars 2. And hello mate, welcome along, good to see you. We've got Pete saying, "Raki, good evening." Pete and Raki, obviously Scooter Paul there greeting his two mates there in the comments. Everybody's saying hello to each other, greeting each other here in this comments section here. We've got Raki saying, "Looking forward to the race, although I will drive the Aston Martin for the first time." So that's going to be exciting to see, because Raki, to be fair, I never know what he's going to drive. He turns up in a BMW sometimes, he'll turn up in a Porsche, he'll turn up in just any car really, but tonight he's gone for the Aston Martin, which he did sign up with. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how Raki gets on with that. Glenn says, "Thanks Pete." Yo Raki, howdy Glenn GT, says Scooter Paul. You ready? Glenn GT says to Scooter Paul. Of course not. Raki saying, "Hey Glenn and Paul." JR said, "How much will Jazz win by tonight?" Well, we'll find out a bit later on, JR, because this is the Tier 2s out on track right now. Jazzman will be taken to the track in the Tier 1s later on, but Tynus, to be fair, always keeps him on his toes. It's never a foregone conclusion, although last week it was quite a dominant win from Jazzman, I've got to say. But I think Zolder is one of his better tracks. I don't think Tynus really gets on with Zolder too well, so hopefully we'll be seeing Tynus really giving Jazzman a good fight here tonight later on in the Tier 1s. Also we got Scooter Paul says, "It will be interesting Glenn," and JR says, "And his voice takes all of..." Okay, right, cool. Benito, good luck everyone. Pete in the comments, "Glenn's been hot weather training in Turkey." I don't think that's going to do too much good here, because it's only 16 degrees air temperature and it's 22 degrees in the track temperature, so it's quite cool here this evening, or rather this afternoon on the game in Texas. Not really too much heat in the air. We've got Totally 0K saying Andrew will win this one. Well, Andrew's getting pushed down the order at the moment because Henry's popped in a 207.3. We've also got Scooter Paul saying it would be nice to have some company, Glenn. And Glenn saying, I follow you till the last lap. Scooter and Paul. So he says to Scooter and Paul. But currently, whilst we're reading the comments here, we see Henry has popped in an incredibly quick lap, a low 207 here. Currently just under 2/10 ahead of Robe, who is the championship leader, obviously coming in tonight. But yeah, Henry coming into this round sat 20th in the championship standings, but he's currently really blazing a trail here tonight at Circuit in the Americas in the Audi. He's been racing in the Audi obviously for the entire season so far, but that is absolutely scorching stuff there from Henry. Kev Sim is just behind Henry and Robe in 3rd place at the moment in this qualifying session. Kev Sim also not too high up in the standings. He's currently 12th coming into this round, but obviously with the disappearance of Titan Guto getting an early promotion to Tier 1, the championship a lot tighter than what it was, so he's actually only 31 points off of the championship lead, so it's still all to play for this season. That's for sure. A Coding Monkey sat in 4th in this qualifying session at the moment, and he's also not too high up in the standings, I don't think. Where is he? I'm just getting his PlayStation name up on SLP so I can kind of know what I'm talking about a little bit more. Yeah, Coding Monkey's only 21st in the championship standings as well, so we've seen a lot of drivers who haven't had the greatest of seasons so far definitely seem to like this Circuit of the Americas track, as we see Kangi go into P5 over the line. Tumbas has done a time good enough for P6, so he's just over a second off of the fastest time being set by Henry at the moment. But coming towards the closing stages of this qualifying session here at COTA for the Tier 2 of the GT3s at Motive, Cordalungu's just gone into 11th place. He's 2.2 seconds off of the fastest time at the moment. So you've got Lexi Mate here, who's coming through the middle part of the lap, I think, at the moment. Spur time 14th in a session. You've got M. Afford, who made his debut on ACC on the PS5 here at Motive last week. He's currently sat in 15th, driving in the number 762 Audi. He obviously has raced at Motive on ACC before, but I think that was quite a long time ago, and I was on a PS4 version as well. But I mean, it's not too different, but you know, it's his last week was his comeback race, so to speak. China Ski sat in 16th at the moment. He is 3.4 seconds off for the pace in the number 90 McLaren. GPL racer 17th in this session right now as he comes over the line and doesn't improve at the moment. Diego 18th. Sparky Franchise is currently in the pits. Doesn't look like he's going to be getting out in time to improve. Day 666, Andrew the Great, still both yet to set lap times here in this session. Day is sat in 9th in the championship standings with the absence of Titan Guto in the standings now having been promoted to Tier 1. So Day is he's not doing too badly at all in the points. He's been a consistent performer so far this season, and he'll be hoping that he can get a time on the board and get himself a decent grid position. He will only get one more lap in because he hasn't got enough time to get another one in after the lap that he's about to start. He is running just ahead of Drew the Great, and I think he's letting Drew through, so he's letting Drew into some clean air here, and Day will go again in a moment. But these two seem to be labouring around a little bit. Neither of them really want to lead the other. I don't know if they're working together, if they're planning on slipstreaming each other, or if they're just a bit indecisive as to who should go first. I think Day's trying to get some space here, but Drew's saying no, you go. Oh, okay, fine. In the end, just bites the bullet and says, I'll go for it, and set a lap before you do. But yeah, those two just playing a bit of chicken, but nonetheless, closing stages of the qualifying session. Robe's in the pits, so P2 man in this session isn't going to improve. He's not going to go on pole position for this one. Henry looking good here on top spot. We have got a few more comments coming in here tonight. I don't know where my lap came from, says a Coding Monkey. P4 at the moment, a great lap there from him. We've got Glenn saying, come on spur time. Hi Andy, says Licky, welcome along Nicky. Nicky used to race with us on Project Cars 2 back in the day, was head of the famous Team ProLab stable, who used to be connoisseurs of the Formula Renault cars on a Saturday night back in the day, and obviously did race in the LMP2s as well. Welcome to you Nicky, good to see you, it's been a long time. We've also got Robert Rowalonsky in the comments saying, fast lobby today. It absolutely is, Robert. It is really, really impressive pace, and this is only the Tier 2s as well. These guys are obviously learning their trade. The top 4 in this, the top 6 in the Tier 2s do get promotion to Tier 1 at the end of this season. So next season, the top 6 in this championship will be racing it amongst the best of the best here on the PlayStation 5 platform. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It is a very impressive pace indeed. Low 207s here from this man Henry, who seems to be getting quicker and quicker every week. He is on a lap at the moment as well. Can Kevsim get a little bit closer? Can Kevsim maybe upset the order here and go on top spot as he's coming around the closing stages of this lap? No, he's gone wide, so that's going to be that then. He's not going to improve. Can Henry rub salt in the wounds and extend his gap at the top of the leaderboard, sorry, tonight here in qualifying? Robe in the pits, obviously he's P2. He is the closest man at the moment, so I don't think we're going to be seeing a change of pole sitter unless Kangi can find 7 tenths or Andrew can find 8 tenths. I think that Henry's pretty safe, but like I said, can he extend his margin at the top and really unsettle the nerves of the guys who are down that leaderboard, or rather who are up there with him but below him in terms of actual grid position? But here he comes, Henry, into the stadium section here for the final time in this qualifying session. He must be on a decent lap because he's continued. Oh no, he hits the sleeping policeman on the exit of the stadium section, and that is going to be his lap done. He returns it to the pits as Andrew's just coming up on the scene. Kangi's done for the session. He's crossed the line and didn't improve, so he stays in P5. Can Andrew get himself up this order? He's only 3 tenths off of P3, so if he can just find a little bit of time here on this lap, he might be able to get himself on the second row of the grid here. If you can find 8 tenths, you can put it on pole, but I don't think that's going to happen. But nonetheless, into the final corner comes Andrew, driving in the Audi, and out of the last corner he comes up towards the line. Is it going to be an improved lap time here for him? It is an improved lap time, a big improvement there. Finds 6 tenths there on that last lap of the session and goes into P3. So Andrew there on the second row ahead of Kevsim, only 2 tenths off of the pole time as well. So a very good lap indeed there from Andrew. Currently 19 of you watching on the stream. Guys, smash the like button if you're enjoying what you're watching right now. If you want to get involved in the action as well, be sure to go to www.motiveracing.com. We've got 21 drivers here tonight in the tier 2s. I think we're expecting 22 or 23 for tier 1 later on, so altogether we're still well over 40 drivers turning up tonight. That will be a great turnout for us here for the ACC PS5s. We're seeing great turnouts every single week, and I'm absolutely loving every moment of this season so far. We got Totally 0K saying nice Andrew there in the comments, obviously pumping in a very late but very well deserved P3 there, only 2 tenths off of Henry's fastest time. But it is going to be Henry who will line up on pole position for round 3 of the season here at Motive. It will be Robe alongside him on the front row, should I say, with Andrew and Kevsim on the second row in 3rd and 4th places, a Cody Monkey and Kangi in 5th and 6th places, followed by Tumbaz and Cabrigia, who will line up on the 4th row, with Nate J. Fletch and Guido Christ in 9th and 10th places, Exeron and Codlingo in 11th and 12th, followed by Lexi Mate, Spur Time in 13th and 14th places, Emma for the GPL Racer in 15th and 16th, China Ski, Diego, Sparky Franchise and Day 666 with Drew the Great at the back of the grid. But this is going to be an exciting race with a close order at the top, only 2 tenths separating the top 3 and only about 7 tenths covering the top 7, so it's going to be a very, very close race indeed, and it's going to come down to a lot of strategy as well. Who's going to be full tanking it, who's going to be half tanking it, who's going to be changing tyres, who's going to be trying to get their tyres to go the distance. It's going to be a high tyre deck kind of night tonight. The COTA is uncompromising on the tyres, so I think we're going to be seeing quite a lot of people coming in for quite a lot of people are going to be half tanking it, I think. Some people will be brave. Invariably there's always going to be a couple who will try and do the entire race on one set of tyres. Who can be the Sergio Perez tonight, who can be the maestro and keep their tyres hanging in there all the way to the checkered flag, as we see lots of drivers just jumping up on and off of the jacks. That shows that they're configuring certain parts of their setups. But almost 30 seconds here until the start, so obviously once the 30-second mark is in, you can ready up, you can say that you're ready to race and lock your car in, ready to go.
20 seconds.
So it's a short formation lap to start off this race, no full formation lap, just a quick little drive around the last sector, and then we'll be coming out the last corner and we'll be go over the start finish line. Obviously there are 2 start finish lines. You've got the control line and you've got the start finish line, so they'll be going past the start finish line, and then the grace will be green as they cross over the control line, which is a second line. As it looks like Codalungu hasn't readied up here, so Codalungu has missed the point where you need to actually ready up. and he'll be starting at the back from the pits, so he's going to have to do this one from a very, very difficult position here tonight. But nonetheless, Henry leading us around coming up towards the final corner. Robe in second. You've got Andrew and Kevsim right behind them. Who's going to get a good start on the slightly colder tyres? Who's going to be able to get the jump here? And this is going to be very interesting indeed to see.
It's the point where you need to actually.
But nonetheless, here we come. As we're coming down at the start finish straight, looks like we're now all onto the straight, so that's all 20 cars that have taken this start who are now ready and waiting for that green light, as we're just coming up on the line now. And here we go, it is green, green, green here at Circuit of the Americas, down towards turn 1 for the first time. Henry looks like he's got a solid start. Has Robo managed to get around him? No, Robo's going to have to tuck around, as we can see Andrew there holding on the inside. You've got the number 16 car of Kevsim trying to keep it around the outside of Coding Monkey as we now come through turn 2. We've got 3 wide in the background here. We've got Tumbaz there in the middle of a pack of cars, and looks like they've all managed to get through cleanly here. Kangi as round the outside of Tumbaz, as you can see there in the foreground of them. You've got a Coding Monkey just in front. Nath J. Fletch has made a good start here up into P6. Kangi there just ahead of Tumbaz, followed by Guido Christ and Exeron. But it's Henry leading the race still ahead of Robe. There's Andrew running in third place, Kevsim followed by Cody Monkey, Nath J. Fletch, Kangi there behind them ahead of Tumbaz, followed by Guido Christ, Exeron ahead of Spur Time, who's got Diego hassling the back of him as Diego's looking down the inside but can't make the move at the moment. Lexi Mate ahead of M. Afford, followed by GPL. Then you've got Day running in P16 ahead of China Ski, as somebody a bit wide there, really struggling out of that sequence. Oh, and GPL, no, sorry, not GPL. Oh, what's going on there? Somebody's had an absolute mare, and there's a big pile up as well coming out onto the back straight. That is Lexi Mate, who is round, and he's had contact there with one of the others, and Lexi Mate here is going to be down to the back of the pack. It looks like he's got some damage on the car as well, so that has not gone to plan at all there for him. We'll find out who the other driver was by the time they get round to the checkpoints. But it's Henry leading ahead of Robe, followed by Andrew. You've got Kevsim in 4th ahead of Nath J. Fletch, followed by Cody Monkey. Kangi there in 7th ahead of Exeron. Guido Christ there running just behind him. Then you've got Tumbaz, Diego. Day's now up into 12th place with that pile up that happened in front of him. It was Lexi Mate and Kodalungu, and the other driver was GPL. So those 3 involved in a big incident there. They were now well behind. M. Afford, Sparky Franchise, Spur Time seem to have got through, but still with a bit of damage on their cars. So they struggled here. They've had a few moments here at the start of this race, and that's not going to be what they would have needed at all. But Henry coming into the final corner, and he's about to complete the first lap. Robe though is absolutely hassling the back here of Henry as they're coming over the line, but 0.3 of a second currently separating them. Andrew keeping them on their toes, but only about a second behind. You've got Kevsim there in 4th ahead of Nath J. Fletch, who apparently does the fast lap of the race there. Cody Monkey ahead of Kangi, followed by Exeron, Guido Christ, Tumbaz completing the top 10 with Diego right on the back of him, and then it's a bit of a gap back to Day, China Ski, Cabriga, and Drew the Great, and then those 4 are well clear of M. Afford, who's running all by himself in P16. You've got Sparky Franchise in the background. Spur Time into the pits here at the end of lap 1, but GPL and Lexi Mate on the back of Sparky Franchise there as they come over the line to complete the first lap. And it's Henry still leading right now, but Robe is really giving him some pressure here in the early stages of the race. We've got Jill Silver in here saying, hello my friends, due to a commitment with the family I can't participate, but I'm following here, big hug to all. And Nikki saying, oh, big shout out to Mark Afford. M. Afford obviously running in P16 right now. He's got a bit of damage on the front of that Audi, so it's not been the start that he would have needed, but nonetheless a long way to go. You can come into the pits at any point here at Motive in the GT3s and ACC. There's no pit window. The pit window is open from the moment that the flag drops to start the race. So if he wants to come in and get the damage fixed now, he could do. The only issue is tyre wear is so high around this track, you don't really want to be coming in too early, because the amount of, obviously if you come in early, then you've got to do the rest of the race on one set of tyres, and there's 2 stopping is not an option on ACC. It just really isn't. In a 1 hour race, a 2 stop would absolutely screw your strategy completely. There is no advantage to doing a 2 stop whatsoever. So really, you want to just time your pit stop so that you can get the tyres to the end no matter what. But at the moment you can see Drew the Great looking at the inside of Caprigia coming into the end of the back straight, but he's too far back at the moment. Tumbaz and M. Afford with huge damage there on their cars. And has something else happened here on this order? I don't think so at the moment. Spur Time still in the pits getting his damage fixed, and he came in at the end of lap 2. But Henry, Robe, Andrew your top 3. Kev Sim dropping off the back of these guys ever so slightly. You've got Nath J. Fletch running just ahead of Coding Monkey, followed by Kangi. There's Extra running in 8th place ahead of Guido Christ, and then a big of a gap back to Day, who's running in 10th place right now. He's got China Ski and Caprigia not too far away. Drew the Great still pressuring Caprigia at this point, so there's plenty to keep track of right now. But Robe's keeping on the back of Henry, but not looking like he's really eyeing up a move at the moment. Henry's just got the answer to him at this point. 17 of you currently watching the stream, smash the like button if you're enjoying what you're watching right now, as we've still got the battle at the front raging on here between Henry and Robe. You got High Grade in the comments saying DM me password if I can join tonight with no practice. Okay mate, sure, no worries, I will do. I'll get that over to you right now. But also I need to yeah, tier 1 server will be getting restarted in 2 minutes as well. So yeah, I will be getting that done. But yeah, at the moment, half a second currently separating Henry and Robe out the front, as Coding Monkey's still on the back of Nath J Fletch at this point. Caprigia's on the back of Day. So what's happened to Drew the Great here? Drew the Great must have made a mistake. Oh! As Tombaz drops it, and he's, no, not Tombaz, sorry, excuse me, sorry, that's not Tombaz that's dropped it. That is a pink McLaren there of China Ski who's dropped it. So he's now dropped behind Tumbaz and Drew the Great, and has Diego got ahead of him as well? I'm not sure. I think he might have. Yeah, Diego is ahead of China Ski there. So China Ski's lost 3 places there, as in the foreground you can see that Drew the Great has got Tumbaz looking down his inside into the hairpin. Does he complete the move? He does, and Drew the Great loses out to Diego as well. So Diego gaining a place, and Diego's now got a bit of a run here on Tumbaz coming down the straight. But action aplenty here in the early laps of this race here for tier 2s at Motive on the on ACC, and currently Tumbaz they're keeping ahead of Diego down the end of the straight. But Drew the Great has got China Ski looking to his outside into the end of the long straight, but is nothing doing at the moment. Drew the Great holds on to that position for now, as he has the inside line for the next right-hander. And I'll tell you what, China Ski's looking to try and get the cut back here. Can he get it? No, Drew the Great's got that covered off at the moment. But the battle between Tumbaz and Diego still rages on here. 0.2 of a second currently separating these two right now. Gap at the front between Henry and Robe is still pretty close. Half a second separating the top 2. Andrew's still right there as well in the hunt for this race win. You got Kev Sim a couple of seconds behind. Nath J Fletcher's still got a Coding Monkey on the back of him here as they're coming down towards turn 1, as he's just a little bit too far back at the moment. Is a Coding Monkey. Kangi is right there as well, waiting to capitalise if these guys trip over each other. Extra on there in 8th place. We've got Guido Crest a couple of seconds behind. That is my alarm here to reset the tier 1 server, so I'm going to get on that right now and let the tier 1 guys crack on with their 1 hour practice, which will lead straight into their race. So that's pretty good timing, because this tier 2 race will be finishing at around the time that will be about 5 minutes or so before qualifying starts for the tier 1. So we'll have a very short break obviously after this, and then the tier 1 guys will be out on track on the stream here. So it'll be 1 stream, we'll be just going to be jumping straight into that after this. But guys, the tier 1 server has now been officially reset, so that should be up and running here. But yeah, I need to send High Grade the password, don't I, for the tier 1s, so I'm going to do that right now. Just reminding myself what it is. There we go, found it. So yeah. Also, I didn't realise that High Grade was going to be racing. I also thought that Carmissar wasn't going to be racing either, but both of them have DM'd me tonight saying that they are going to be racing. So I'm going to just send them both the password just so they can both get in, because I thought both of them weren't coming tonight, I must admit. But yeah, currently the gap at the front between Henry and Robe's just gone up a little bit. It's now nearly a second between these two. Andrew's just keeping on the back of them right now. Coding Monkey has lost out to Kangi, so Kangi is up into 6th, or is he? Because it looks as though he's lost out to him again, so he must have briefly got ahead of him. Maybe just they were coming up to the sector point, and then now Kangi's just squeezed back ahead of, sorry, Coding Monkey's just squeezed back ahead of Kangi. Diego is on the back of Day as these two battling out over P11. They've both got damage on the front end of the cars, so has Tumbaz, who's right behind them, as Day's trying to defend to the inside. Oh, it's Diego all over the place there, coming towards the hairpin in the stadium section, but they're holding on to it at the moment. But this is an intriguing little battle here for 11th, 12th and 13th places in this race. Other than that, you got Kangi still on the back of a Coding Monkey as they're coming into turn 1. But this is the chief battle out on track as Diego's looking to the outside of Day. Just going to try and go all the way around him here through the penultimate corner. And has he got it done here for the final corner? I think he has. Day's trying to send one back down the inside for the final corner, but in the end thinks better of it. And Diego there up into P11, and Day has lost out to Tumbaz. Tumbaz managing to mug Day there out of the last corner, and Day dropping 2 places from 11th down to 13th place there. But Diego up into P11 as Tumbaz is now looking to attack here on Diego into turn 1, but he's just a little bit too far back there coming into the corner, and for the time being Diego has got that one covered. Kangi still on a Coding Monkey. These two are on the back of Nath J Fletch as well, so plenty of battles here going on throughout the pack in this race. It's been great action here in the early stages of the tier 2s here at Circuit in the Americas. Really loving this one here tonight as we got a lot of comments, a lot of throwback drivers here in the comments tonight as well. Jill Silverin says, hello my friends, due to commitment with the family I can't participate, but I'm following here. Big hug to all. Thanks for joining us, Jill Silverin, good to see you. He also races with us in the F1 League on a Friday. Was racing last night at Jeddah for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Yeah, welcome along Jill Silverin, and unfortunately you can be with us tonight, but great to see that you're tuning in nonetheless. We've also got Evil Scotsman saying keep an eye out for Kangi, he is a close friend and great driver. Wow, I didn't know you were friends with Kangi, Ian. Well, also big shout out to Evo Guy as well in the comments. Sim Racing Gang says Bay Sports. Absolutely, Bay Sports. Bay Sports do actually stream a bit of iRacing, I think. But I think they've gone off the PlayStation platform now. But I know they're on the PC. Bay Sports. Well, if you didn't know, the head of Bay Sports used to work at Motive. So yeah. If anybody didn't know that, you do now. Nonetheless, Henry's gapped Robey a little bit. I think he's now over a second clear of him at this point. So Henry is looking very, very good for his money. Although Robey actually closed in a little bit through the final sector there. The gap's now back down to 6/10. These two though have gapped Andrew ever so slightly, who's running in 3rd place. Kevston running all by himself in P4. He's got a few seconds back to this battle here between Nath, the Coding Monkey, and Kangi. And Exeron has actually gained on these guys as well now. So he's now standing very, very close to the back of them. But yeah, Exeron has just been bringing himself into this battle over the last few laps. You've got Codalunga on the back of Leximate as well, as these two battled it out over P14. You've got Drew the Great, who's trying to stick to the back of China Ski. He's trying to keep himself in that window at the moment. Sparky Franchise is on the back of GPL as these two battled it out. But Sparky's got a pretty fresh car by the looks of it. GPL has got some pretty hefty damage. But yeah, at the moment, these guys just doing their thing. Bay Sports says need a co-commentator. I mean, yeah, if you want, I can send you an invite to the party if you want. Just send me your, because I'm on a different PlayStation account now. So if you can send me, remind me what your PlayStation name is, Seb, and I'll send you an invite. And obviously you need to be on a server as well, really. As long as you're on have you got a PS5? Because you need a PS5. This is only a PS5. You can't use this game unless you're on a PS5. It is the PS5 version of ACC. Nonetheless, we see Exeron with a drive-through penalty here. So he's picked up some kind of issue here. He's obviously been cutting the track a little bit. It's very easily done here at COTA. It's quite an easy track to overstep the marks and run wide around certain corners. And I've been hearing a lot of talk in the lead up to this race. A lot of drivers are concerned with the track limits and the propensity to be able to make mistakes. So good to see that most of them have been keeping it in check so far. Having said that, it's still the relatively early stages. Shucks, I don't have my PS anymore, mate. Oh, unlucky, mate. It's a shame. But it'd be cool to do some comms again. I mean, I don't know, we've been talking about getting on the PC for ages, but it just never get around to it. Every time it's like, I've been trying to master the PS5 side first. You know, the fact that we've kind of got 2 nearly full tiers running here is just, it's taken a bit of work, and to be fair, I don't know if I've got the time to be able to dedicate to run a PC league as well at the moment. I kind of like, you know, I'd love to be able to get a 3rd tier for the PS5. But we've got Bay Sports saying, but nevertheless, good luck, bring it on, may the best driver win. Definitely so, mate. Thank you very much for tuning in, and yeah, hopefully you stick with us as the stream goes on. But currently we've got Henry, who's opened a bit of a gap to Robe, now over a second between those two. Andrew's just dropped off for the top two a little bit. He's now 4 seconds off for the lead. Kev Sim's still running in a world of his own at the moment. You've got Nath J Fletcher, who's got Kangi licking up his inside here as they come through the S's. Kangi's trying to get this one done, but Nath J Fletcher holding his own there and squeezing back through as Kangi's looking to the outside around the final part of the S's. Can he keep the inside for the left hand? And no, Nath doing a great job there to keep onto that one. But this is about inviting a Coding Monkey and Exeron in, and Exeron's now got up the inside of a Coding Monkey coming down the hill towards the hairpin. Is Exeron going to get this one done? Obviously he's got his drive-through penalty which he needs to come in and serve within 2 laps, but he's got to make a move up the inside there of a Coding Monkey, and he's up into P7 there, is Exeron. But Nath J Fletcher and Kangi still running in P5 and 6 at the moment. Henry's still leading this race by just over a second over Robe, and you've got Andrew there running in 3rd place still in this race. Tumbas is on the back of Diego as they're battling it out over 11th and 12th places. Day 666 is in the pits at the end of lap 6, so he's going to be, so he obviously doesn't need to come in again because the pit window's open any time in this race. So he joins M. Afford and Spur Time as the 3 drivers now who have come into the pits to make their stops. But Henry's still leading the race right now ahead of Robe, and still Andrew running in 3rd place, but he has made a little bit of a gain over the race leader Henry on this lap so far. He was 4 seconds behind, he's now 3.7 adrift of the leader, so Andrew's showing he's got the pace, but where is he going to be? Is he going to be able to really challenge these guys up the front? As we've got Nath J Fletcher still got Kangi on the back of him coming to the final couple of corners. Oh, Nath's gone deep. He's gone really wide coming through the penultimate corner, and Kangi does not need a second invitation there. P5 for Kangi, and Evil Scotsman Emo guy is going to be loving that in the if he's still watching at the moment, because Kangi up into a top 5 spot here in this race, now a top 4 because Kev Sim is into the pits here at the end of lap 7. And becomes the 4th driver to come in and make his pit stop. So that leaves 4 drivers have come in, and now we've got 17 left still to make their pit stop. But currently Henry's opened up a bit of a gap here so far on this lap over Robe. It's now 2.4 seconds, so Henry's looking very, very strong at the moment. Oh, his Day has got a stop-go penalty for speeding in the pits, and that is going to really hurt him, as he was in about in the mid-pack there, but that has gone horribly wrong there for Day, and he's now going to have to come in again and stop in his box for 30 seconds, and that is basically like an extra pit stop essentially for him. I've already reset the tier 1 server phone, do not worry. But yeah, currently an exciting first few laps here to this race. Henry's still leading the race by 2.4 seconds ahead of Robe. You've got Andrew there running in 3rd place right now. Just lost a bit of time to the top 2 over the course of the last lap or so. He's now 4.3 behind the race leader Henry. Nath J Fletcher's still on the back of Kangi, despite Kangi making the move on him. Nath hasn't given up on this one, but Exeron is on the back of them with a Coding Monkey just behind them. But the thing is, Exeron's got his drive-through penalty, which he needs to do soon. Oh, for God's sake, sorry. Epiphany's just messaged me saying that the free practice is set to 15 minutes on tier 1. Oh no. Completely forgot that last week I forgot to do it all together, which meant that basically I had to set it to 15 minutes, kind of lastminute.com. So yeah, I completely forgot that I changed it from 60 minutes to 15 minutes. So I'm going to get that sorted now, guys. Let me just put it on 50, and then obviously we got 50 minutes until the start of qualifying, so that kind of works out. So it's now 50 minute for tier 1, and yeah, that should be resetting right about now. So guys, if you're in tier 1 and you're watching and you're sat there cursing my name at the moment, please just go easy on me, please. But yeah, it's sorted now, so tier 1 should be up and running. The server should have 50 minutes on free practice, and that should be all done and dusted. But Exeron nonetheless coming in to serve his drive-through penalty at the end of lap 8. Coding Monkey's now on the back of Nath J Fletch. Guido Christ has brought himself into this battle here for 5th place. They've dropped off of Kangi a bit. Kangi's extended his gap over these guys. He's running in P4, so he's now trying to chase down the top 3, but he is 13 seconds adrift of Andrew, who's running in that final podium spot. Henry is just gradually extending his gap over Robe. It's 2.6 at the moment. Andrew's 4.5 off of the lead. He's less than 2 seconds off of Robe though at the moment, so he's keeping the gap at around the same to Henry. And if Andrew keeps up this sort of pace, then he might be able to keep himself in the hunt for the win. It depends what strategy he's on. Is he going to be, are any of these guys going to be doing the whole race on one set of tyres? That would be fascinating to see. We just don't know if people are going to be half tanking it, or if they're planning to change tyres. Obviously they'll be spending longer in the pits if they do need to put fuel in or change tyres, but at this stage we just do not know how it's all going to play out, and ultimately we just got to wait and see what happens. But Henry continuing to extend his gap, 2.7. He's got 5 seconds back to Andrew running in 3rd place. Cody Monkey is still on the back of Nath J Fletcher's. These two battling it out over 5th place at the moment. Tumbaz is still on the back of Exteron. He's got Diego also on the back of them as well, so this is a 3-way battle there for 9th place. But yeah, plenty going on here, and we're not even a third of the way through this tier 2 race. But yeah, currently 3 seconds near the gap between Henry and Robe as we're coming over the line here to complete lap 9 of the race. Gap's just gone down a little bit actually. Robe gained 2 tenths in the final sector there on Henry, but on the whole Henry is eking out that gap as we're keeping an eye on a Cody Monkey. He's still on the back of Nath J Fletch as well. Diego is on the back of Tumbaz as they're battling over P10 at this stage, so still an exciting little fight between those two. Still 11 of you currently watching the stream. Guys, hit the like button if you've enjoyed what you're seeing right now. If you want to get involved, as I said before, be sure to go to www.motiveracing.com and you can sign up to the tier 2. We're hoping to keep promoting drivers to tier 1. If they keep continuing to impress, then we'll try and get a couple more drivers in tier 1 after this week, and then obviously drivers who are signing up for tier 2 can sort of jump straight into a seat. There's a few people who aren't coming to the races who have signed up, so after this week, obviously now 3 races in, we can kind of get an idea of who's turning up and who isn't, and if people aren't turning up without telling us they're not turning up, then they'll be getting struck out, so we'll be able to get more of an idea of where we stand, and hopefully we'll be able to get some more dedicated drivers in to replace the ones who aren't racing so much. As we're currently seeing the battle here, really close between Diego and Tumbaz. Has Tumbaz got ahead of Diego? No, he hasn't. He's still behind him, but he looked like he was very close over the line to complete lap 9 of the race, but for the time being still behind him. Or did Diego actually make the move on him? I'm not sure, but nonetheless those two still running very close at the moment. You've got a Cody Monkey who's still trying to pressure Nath J Fletch into a mistake, but Nath has been holding firm over the last few laps, sat in P5 in this race. The gap at the front between Henry and Robe is still just under 3 seconds, so Henry currently still doing what he needs to do at this point. And Cody Monkey's still trying to hassle the back of Nath J Fletch at the moment, but we're on lap 10 here of the tier 2 race for the GT3 Championship here on Assetto Corsa Competizione at Motive. Round 3 of an 8-round season here at Circuit of the Americas. As we can see, Cody Monkey really closing in there on the back of Nath J Fletch coming through the stadium section. Oh, as Nath rattles over the curbs a little bit there, and that might give a Cody Monkey a bit of a run as he's looking around the outside, but Nath looks like he's got it just about covered off at the moment there, and he's going to keep the inside through this next sequence of corners, and Nath J Fletch for the time being maintains P5. These two a couple of seconds clear of this man Guido Christ, who's coming through the final couple of corners just about now. He's still yet to serve his stop-go penalty, which he incurred for speeding in the pits when he came in for his mandatory stop a few laps ago. Henry still leading the race at this point by just 2.8 seconds, so the gap is staying around the same between the top two, Henry and Robe. So Henry's still leading this race by 2.8 seconds, 2.5 further back from Robe to Andrew. So Andrew currently 5.3 off of the race leader. Cody Monkey still keeping Nath J Fletch on his toes, and Tumbaz has just dropped off the back of Diego a little bit. That gap's now 0.8 of a second between those two, as we're currently on lap 11 here at Circuit of the Americas. for round 3 of the season here for the tier 2s for the GT3s, as Cody Monkey just looking up the inside here of Nath J Fletcher. He's got a run, and has he made the move into the hairpin? I think he has. Nath's going to try and get the cutback though, coming down this very long straight. If he can get a run, if he can get a bit of a slipstream, he'll definitely have a chance to come back at him down the end of this straight. But Cody Monkey for the time being has taken that position off of Nath, as they're coming now down towards the end of the straight. And has a Cody Monkey got that one done on Nath? I think he has, yep. A Cody Monkey has got P5 now in the bag, as Guido Chris is now watching this and hoping he can maybe involve himself in this battle for P5. But first he'll need to negotiate Nath before we can think about a Cody Monkey. Nath hasn't given up on this though, he's still sticking to the back of him. These two have been trading places a couple of times over the course of this race, and it's still continuing the same way at this point. But yeah, Cody Monkey's done well there to take that position. Gap at the front, still just under 3 seconds between Henry and Robe. Andrew's keeping himself within 5 seconds of the lead as well, so he's certainly not out of this battle for the win at this stage. He's still keeping himself in the hunt, very much so here at COTA tonight. Tumbaz has just dropped off at the back of Diego a little bit. That's now 1.4 between those two. Diego maybe starting to gain on X-Run ever so slightly now. X-Run currently running it in P9 at the moment in this race. Highest runner of those who have pitted is Kevsim. He's running in 14th place. He was in the top 5 at the time that he came in, so he's definitely going to be a contender here, up near the front end of the pack. How close is he going to be to a podium though? We'll have to see. Kodalungu's currently the second highest runner of those who have pitted, running in P17 on the track. It's Drew the Great there running in P18. He's just gone wide out of turn 1, and that would have lost him a bit of time there. Emaford running in P19. At this point you've got Spur Time sat in 20th place, and Day with his stop go penalty to add to the fact that he's done his mandatory pit stop already in this race is running in 21st place, and it's not gone really to plan there for him so far in this race. But Nath is still on the back of a Cody Monkey right now, as these two battled it out over P5 in this race, and the gap between Henry and Robe has come down ever so slightly. It's 2.7. Andrew's still 5 seconds off for the lead, so the top 3 kind of lapping similar lap times to each other at this point. But again, we don't know what the strategies are in terms of who's full tanked it, who's half tanked it. I think, to be fair, I think they pretty much all, I think they're all on the same strategy, and the reason why I say that is because they were all within 0.2 of a second of each other in qualifying, so it kind of makes sense that they're all so close in terms of pace right now. I mean, 5 seconds covering them after 12 laps of a race, you know, it's less than 0.4 of a lap on average. But Henry is definitely the man who's got the ascendancy here in this race. But you know, anything can happen. One little mistake from Henry and both of these guys will be past him. So you know, you just don't know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. But the top 3 have been keeping it really clean so far. Robe's gained absolutely heaps of time on Henry through that last sector there. He's gained 4 tenths in one sector. He went from 2.7 down to 2.3. So Robe is really getting it done at the moment. Andrew just lost a bit of time through the final sector. He's now 5.4 off of the lead, so he lost 4 tenths to Henry, and he lost 8 tenths to Robe coming through that final sector. So Robe looking really strong through the final sector here. It's through the other parts of the lap where Henry's made a big mistake. He's gone straight on, he's gone off through the S's, and he might lose out to Andrew as well. But Robe leads this race here on lap 13 here at Circuit of the Americas, and it's an unlucky lap indeed for Henry here, as he's down to P2 and really struggling here at the moment. He's going to have to get his elbows out to keep Andrew behind him. Looks like he's in a bit of a rut right now, is Henry. I don't know what happened there to him, or just flicked to him as he was coming out of the S's. Did he make a mistake? Did he get a bit of a swirl on and end up having to take to the escape road? Whatever the case, Henry has had a big error now, and he's led the entirety of this race so far, but now finds himself nearly 3 seconds off for the lead. It is Robe who leads the race here on lap 13 of the Tier 2 GT3 race here at Motive at Circuit of the Americas. And Henry's just got to dust himself off and go again here. Was it just a little driver error there which caused that? Doesn't seem to have any damage on the car, so I think it might have just been a little bit of a lapse of concentration there for Henry. Whatever the case, Robe now has the lead, and obviously Robe the championship leader for the Tier 2 division here. So he is going to be extra motivated here tonight. I think probably the plan's going to be to keep the tiers as they are from now to the end of the season, but Robe obviously will be going for a Tier 2 championship this season, leads the title race so far. He's got 2 seconds back to Henry running in 2nd place, Andrew running just there in 3rd, but these three very evenly matched here out the front, but Robe, Henry and Andrew's definitely been brought into this battle now though, because he's only 3 seconds off for the lead. So this is now really blown this race wide open as we're coming around the last corner to complete lap 13 of the race. So it's Robe, Henry, Andrew, the top 3 as they all come through a shot right now. As keeping an eye on the battle between Coding Monkey and Nath J Fletch. It's still 0.4 of a second separating those two, battling over P5. Diego's still got Tumbaz behind him as they're going at it for P10. As Drew the Great is, he was on the back of M. Afford, but looks like he's dropped off him a little bit. M. Afford's now got over a second of a gap to him, running in 17th and 18th, those two. Kangi's coming into the pits here at the end of lap 13. He's obviously running in P4, best of the rest, after the top 3 who are currently bossing this race, Robe, Henry and Andrew. But Henry, with that little mistake on the previous lap, coming out of the S's, he must have overcooked it on the brakes or something, maybe had a bit of a wiggle as he came through the final apex of the S's. Oh! It's just a black car, they're losing it in the foreground. I think that's Day. Was he losing it, or was he trying to get out of the way and just stacked it? I don't know, but nonetheless, I thought for a very split second there that was one of the top 3, and I was thinking, wow, who is that? As I knew it wasn't Henry straight away because it wasn't his completely not his livery, but yeah, for a very, very brief moment there before I became conscious of the fact that it wasn't any of the drivers' liveries who were in the top 3, I did think it was one of them that had lost it. But yeah, currently it's still Robe leading this race by just over 2 seconds right now, ahead of Henry, who's obviously now got Andrew on the back of him as well, only a second separating those two in 2nd and 3rd places. Nate's still keeping on the back of a Coding Monkey right now, as we've got a drive-through penalty coming down there to Drew the Great. So Drew the Great will have to come in and get that drive-through served. He's already been into the pits, so that'll be his 2nd visit to the pits tonight. But yeah, Nate's still on the back of a Coding Monkey here as they're battling it out over 4th and 5th places. But yeah, Robe's still your race leader at this stage. It's got just over 2 seconds right now over Henry as we see a McLaren there diving into the pits. At least I thought it was. Yeah, it's Robe, so the race leader's coming in. So that is the race leader here at the end of lap 14. Halfway through the race, he's cutting the race in half here. I'm pretty sure that he's half tanking it and going for a tyre change. Surprising that Henry and Andrew are staying out for the time being. Those two obviously not feeling like they should cut the race in half. Maybe they're going to be coming in the next lap or the lap after that, but you'd imagine they'll be coming in soon, because I'm pretty sure that these two are both half tanking it as well. But Henry now back in the lead of the race. Obviously he led the early stages, but then a little mistake coming through this part of the track surrendered the lead back to Robe. But Robe now in the pits, so is he going to get the undercut and hold on to the lead which he managed to earn due to Henry's mistake, or is Henry going to come out ahead of him? Is Andrew going to trump both of these two and surprise everybody here? He's been keeping himself quietly on the back of them for the duration of this race so far. Henry seems to have absolutely torn around the first sector here. He's now nearly 2 seconds ahead of Andrew, knowing that Robe's in the pits. Maybe he's just thinking, this is hammer time for me now. I've got to get my act together and really tear around and try and get the overcut here. But Robe is now off and away and coming down to the end of the pit lane as we speak. Nath, Guido, Chris, Tumbaz and Lexi Mate all cutting the race in half as well. So plenty of drivers coming in at the halfway point in the race. But the rest of them, Exeron, Diego staying out. Obviously the top 5, Henry, Andrew, Coding Monkey, Capriga and Exeron staying out. So that just leaves 8 drivers, because GPL is also still yet to come in. So 8 drivers still yet to make their mandatory pit stop. That means we've had 13 drivers come in to serve their mandatory pit stop already in this race so far. But Henry's absolutely flown around this lap so far. He's now got over a 2 second gap here to Andrew, 2.4 between the top 2. So Henry knows this is his opportunity to make something happen here and try and get track position on Robe again, as Henry's coming through the final few corners. Is he going to pull the trigger this time around? You'd imagine that these two probably would come in this lap because it would make the most sense. But Henry's staying out for the time being, and so is Andrew. So these two both keeping it out on track, well past the halfway point, and it's making me wonder if maybe they are full tanking it here, which would be quite strange. You would think they'd be at least changing tyres. but apparently not. With the tyre wear being like it is around this track, I would have thought they would be changing tyres, but it doesn't look like it at this stage. Cody Monkey, Capriga and Exeron all staying out as well. GPL is in this lap, but Diego's had a moment coming in towards the hairpin. He's binned it into the wall and he's lost out there to China Ski and Kevsim. Kevsim's already been into the pits. Obviously Robe, your net race leader potentially, just coming around to put a lap on Sparky Franchise, who moves well out of the way. Cody Monkey and Capriga are in at the end of lap 15, so they are coming in to make their mandatory pit stops now. Does Exeron follow suit? No, Exeron is staying out for the time being, so that just leaves now Henry, Andrew, Exeron, China Ski and Diego to come into the pits. So that leaves 5 drivers still yet to come in and make their pit stops. 16 have already come in to serve that mandatory pit stop, which is dictated in the rules. Luke Van der Street says go Diego and Exeron. These guys currently, Exeron still yet to pits. Diego making that little mistake a few moments ago, maybe feeling the pressure a little bit, seeing that comment. I don't know if he's got the stream up maybe, but he's obviously had a bit of a moment and is down in P13 with his pit stop still to do, so he's got it all to do here as Diego. But gap at the front between Henry and Andrew just over 3 seconds at this point, so Henry has extended his gap ever so slightly over Andrew over the course of this lap. Holy Monkey and Capriga now on their way out of the pits and will return to the track in a few moments time. But yeah, Henry at this stage in the race doing everything he has to do to try and get back ahead of Robe, who's obviously already been into the pits. Robe did manage to get ahead of Henry due to Henry making a mistake coming out of the S's a few laps ago, but Henry will be trying to make this overcut work. He's been really getting the hammer down over the last few laps, and is it going to be enough? He's staying out again, so he's still not coming in. Andrew is now into the pits, but I'm wondering if Henry has full tanked it and isn't changing tyres in this race, because the fact that he's staying out well past the halfway point, to me, just signifies that he isn't changing tyres, because in order to be able to make fresh tyres work, you're best off cutting the race in half, because your tyres don't really go off too much, but you also have a fresh set compared to everybody else. But Henry's continuing on and on and on in this race and showing no signs of coming in just yet, as we've got 13 if you're currently watching the stream. Smash the like button, guys, if you're enjoying the stream tonight, and if you want to get involved, go to www.motiveracing.com. Andrew's still in the box, but he'll be away in a moment. Looks like it's a long stop there from him, so he's definitely putting fuel and tyres in the car, as he's now off and away now. So he's probably about a minute or so behind Henry, and that's obviously going to go out because Henry's still going around at racing speeds. Andrew still making his way through the pits as we speak. Exeron there is going to come around and take P2 in a moment, but obviously he still has to pit in this race. Trying to ski a long way behind, he's still yet to pit in this one as well, but Exeron for the time being then takes P2 here in this tier 2 race here for the GT3s at Motive. But Henry is still your race leader at the moment, but will he hold on to the lead by the time Robe comes in? Can Andrew spring a surprise here and really get the hammer down on these fresh tyres and try and get the jump maybe on Henry? That's a possibility. In fact, Andrew has come out ahead of Robe, so wow, this is a turn up. This is actually incredible stuff here from Andrew. So Robe obviously was leading the race before the pit window, or before he came in for his pit stop. Andrew, who was running in 3rd place, was about 3 or 4 seconds behind Robe before they both came in, and he's come out ahead of him. So Andrew's done something in the pits. Has he maybe not put fuel in, or maybe not changed tyres? I don't know. I think he's changed tyres, but maybe he didn't need to put as much fuel in. So maybe he was fueled a bit heavier than what Robe was in the first stint and hasn't had to put as much in. So Andrew potentially has managed to get the jump by having more fuel in the car and not needing to put as much in. Or has he underfueled maybe for this final stint? Maybe Robe has put more than enough fuel in to make sure he gets to the end and not risk it. But whatever the case, Andrew now ahead of Robe in 3rd place. Obviously that's a net P2 once Exeron comes in. Could even be a net P1 if Henry has a long stop. We don't yet know what the plan is with Henry and what he's planning to do in the stop. But if Henry's planning on going to the end on one set of tyres and not putting tyres and fuel in, he'll come out a long way ahead of these two, but he will not have the pace of these two because these two do have fresh tyres on their cars. So at this stage it's looking it could be up in the air at the moment. We don't know what's going to happen, but I doubt very much at this stage now that Henry's going to be putting tyres on, because he would have definitely come in by now if he was going to be changing tyres. You would have thought. Exteron coming into the pits at the end of lap 17, so that will give Andrew and Robe P2 and 3 here in this race as they're coming down the start finish straight. There is Exteron stopping in his box, there is the other two coming over the line, so that just leaves the race leader Henry and Chinaski, the only two drivers who are still yet to come in to make their pit stop. Chinaski not coming in just yet. He has got Kangi on the back of him, and Kangi obviously has already been in the pit, so he'll be hoping he doesn't get held up too much here by Chinaski as they're coming down the start finish straight. Is Kangi going to go for a move? You'd think he'd be going for a move into turn 1, because he should have a lot more confidence on the brakes with those tyres as he now looks down the inside into turn 1. Chinaski leaves the door open, leaves a bit of a space, so Kangi goes a bit deep into the corner. Chinaski's going to try and go for the cutback. Kangi should have the inside for turn 2. I think that's job done here for Kangi as they come through turn 2, and yep, Kangi's got it done as they come through the S's here on lap 18 of the race. So Kangi up into P6, and Chinaski obviously has still got to come into the pits, but Kangi up into what's P5 now, because Exteron has also been into the pits. So Kangi into the top 5, and he's only about 2 seconds off of Kevsim, who's running in 4th place. So could we be seeing Kangi picking up a P4 in this race? Certainly on the table at the moment, as Andrew and Robe are still battling over 2nd and 3rd places, 0.3 of a second separating these two. Robe's been playing the game really well here, but no, sorry, Andrew has, I should say. Andrew's the one who's been playing really well here, because he was just sitting on the fringe of the top 2 in the first stint. Maybe he was slightly more fueled than the other two, and that's why he wasn't quite on their pace, but that's obviously why he's been able to put in less fuel in his stop, have less time in the box, and been able to get the jump here on Robe. But nonetheless, running in P2 here in this race as Henry making his way through some traffic, which he manages. He seems to have managed to negotiate, but he still leads the race. But we reckon he's going to be stopping and going here, because at this stage there'll be no benefit to changing tyres, because he's gone well into the race. He's worn out the set of tyres that he's got on, probably lost time in the process, so there'd be no advantage to the strategy that he's doing unless he were to have a quick pit stop. So we reckon he's going to be in and out of that pit box in no time. Guido Chris has got a drive-through penalty which he needs to serve within the next 3 laps, so I assume that's for track limits. Chinaski still going in P6, he's still got to make a pit stop here in this race, but Andrew and Robe still battling over 2nd and 3rd as there's a black car there moving well out of the way as they come through the shop. And that is the lap car there. I think that's Tumbaz there, who they were just kept making their way past. No, sorry, it's not Tumbaz. Is it Kodlungu? I thought it was number 82, but no, I don't think it. No, I don't know who it was, to be fair. But nonetheless, Guido Chris is still going to do his drive-through. He hasn't come in just yet, but we're still watching a battle here for 2nd and 3rd places. Definition of don't let them know your next move right there, says Totally 0K. Definitely so. In the case of Henry, we just don't know what he's doing, but I reckon that he's planning on going to the end on 1 set of tyres. And the question now is, has he got enough fuel in his car to get himself all the way to the end of the race? Oh, as he goes a bit wide coming out of turn 1, is he starting to feel the tyre wear kicking in here? It's a track, COTA is a track where the tyre wear is high, albeit the track temperature is quite low. It's only 19 degrees, the air temperature is only 15, so the tyre wear is not going to be as bad as it usually would be. But then again, it's such a difficult track on the tyres. I mean, the curves are so lethal, there's plenty of twisty turns, fast corners, slow corners, heavy braking zones, lots of marbles everywhere as well, offline especially. So you know, you are definitely pushing your luck if you try and do a whole race on 1 set of tyres. The man who I would definitely go to ask, if I was going to ask anyone, would probably be Jazzman, because he's always got some good answers in response to tyre talk. He generally knows the strategy for everything. So yeah, if I was going to ask anybody, it would definitely be him. But he knows a thing or two about this for sure. But yeah, currently we're here on lap 20 of the race. We've still got Henry leading the race. Andrew's just gapped Robey a little bit actually by just over a second. So Andrew's looking increasingly comfortable here in this race. But at the moment we're just waiting for Henry to come in. That's really what we're waiting for here, to sort of tell us a little bit about what's going to happen in this race. Henry's just put a lap there on Tumbaz, and Tumbaz there just running ahead of Exteron. So those two having a good little battle here for 11th and 12th places. Guido Chris is now coming in to do his drive-through penalty. Let's hope he didn't speed in the pits whilst he was in, because that will be a stop-go penalty and even more time lost here in this race. But currently Henry's still out front, still yet to pit. He's coming around the last corner, so not coming in this time. Is he going to long it out until the very last lap of the race? He's gone 20 laps on this set of tyres so far, so I think he's well and truly committed to a one set of tyre strategy for this race. Number 97 has cleared his drive through. That's Guido Chris now off and away again. But there is Andrew and Robey just coming down to the end of the back straight. I would say Henry about a minute and 15 seconds I reckon to clear of them. Now obviously he's probably going to lose about 45-50 seconds in the pits on just a stop and go type of stop. So I reckon at this stage he's probably set to come out about 25-30 seconds clear of these two. We've probably got about 8 or 9 laps left in this race. I reckon that these two behind him probably be lapping about a second and a half, 2 seconds a lap quicker than him in the closing stage of this race. But they're going to come out about 30 seconds behind him, so Henry's still going to have a commanding lead. He's going to have enough of a lead to be able to bring this one home with the win, I think. I can't see any way that these two are going to be able to beat him. I think at this stage Henry's just too far ahead. I can't see him. Maybe he's only about a minute ahead. I don't know. It's about a minute or so clear of these guys. Anything can happen in the closing stage of this race, but I think that Henry, as long as he takes care of these tyres and doesn't push too hard, he should be able to win this race without changing tyres. Cody Monkey still on the back of Nath J Fletcher's. These two battling it out over 7th and 8th places, but that will become the battle for P6 obviously once Chinaski's come in. Chinaski's just ahead of them now, so he's coming into turn 2, and obviously both of these two will be hoping that Chinaski doesn't hold them up, because he's on a different strategy from them. It's a completely different race, completely different ball game there for Chinaski in this position that he's in. Tumbaz is still on the back of Exteron as they're battling over P10 at the moment. You got GPL who's just ahead of Amafford as they're coming out onto the long back straight, as Amafford rides over the sleeping policeman on the exit of the corner, so that's not going to be ideal for him at all. But at this stage in the race, Henry is still your leader. Still has to come into the pits. Lap 22 here at Circuit in the Americas. He's got a very big lead indeed over Andrew, but as I said, once he comes in, the gap might be coming down to about 15 or 20 seconds. So it's just a waiting game at this point, just to see how exactly it all plays out. And yeah, what is going to happen here? If Henry's tyres hit the cliff at the end, then it could be anybody's race. As Nath J Fletcher's now right on the back of Chinaski. Chinaski obviously still yet to make his pit stop, but he's still battling for position. Always he gets it all wrong coming out of the stadium, and that will be Nath around the outside. Now does a Coding Monkey manage to sneak through without any dramas here, as he just squeezes into the edge of the track, but he's got himself well alongside. Oh, as Chinaski loses the car in the background there onto the grass, and Caprighi is going to be nowhere near them. So oh, as the Cody Monkey's lost it, he's dropped it there coming through the final couple of corners, and that'll be Sparky Franchise there unlapping himself. And Cody Monkey there out of the battle with Nath, as Chinaski's only just got it going again, and he rejoins right in front of Caprighi there. So Caprighi will not be too happy with that one, I'm sure. Chinaski there is better off bringing himself in and getting those tyres changed. My God, those are struggling. Henry, the race leader. I mean, if Chinaski's struggling that much on his tyres at this stage, you've got to think that Henry must be as well. And that will be an opportunity for Andrew and Robe to maybe make inroads here at the end of this race. Henry just coming over the start finish line. Well, he's just coming over he's coming round that part of the track now. Andrew and Robe are just coming to the end of the back straight. So Henry just coming through turn 1. Andrew and Robe probably, I think just under, I think they're about a minute behind him. About a minute behind him. Probably Henry's close about 45 seconds in the pits. So as it stands, I reckon Henry will come out about 15 seconds clear of these two. But then obviously we're going to have about 6 or 7 laps in this race. We're about 6 laps left in the race from here. But is Henry going to lose 2.5 seconds a lap? I mean, we just don't know how much time he's going to be losing. But he's currently got a commanding lead still in this race. But until he comes in, we're not really going to know what the situation is here. But Andrew and Robe could both be in this battle for the win, with Henry still as Chinaski also still yet to make his pit stop. Does he come in this lap? He is really struggling. And we see how much Chinaski is struggling here. And Henry is in not too much of a dissimilar position either. So, you know, you see how much Chinaski is struggling. Obviously Henry is absolutely loving this track and has got heaps of pace around this circuit. So we're not going to be seeing as much of a problem from him, but just seeing how Chinaski is struggling on his tyres can give you some idea of what Henry must be masking with his clearly very decent talent around this circuit. But he'll be struggling at this stage no end, there's no doubt. But he's coming around the final few corners. Does he come in here at the end of lap 23? No, he's continuing around at the moment, keeping us guessing here until right at the end here, mate. But Chinaski coming into the pits at the end of lap 23, so obviously 22 for him, I think. But yeah, he's 1 lap down. So, but Henry's still going round for now. On to lap 24 of the race, still showing no signs of buckling and bringing it in. As Robe's still on the back of Andrew, and he's gained a little bit actually on Andrew as Robe in the last few laps. Now he's starting to crank up the pressure a little bit. Maybe the McLaren slightly slower to warm up its tyres than the Audi, but he's now really bringing this pressure. He's bringing the smoke to Andrew at this stage. Tumbas is still on the back of Exeron as they're battling out over 8th and 9th places. Day in the pits again, he's 6 laps down, so it's not been the night for Day at all. He's had a bit of a nightmare here tonight. Robe's still on the back of Andrew as they're coming out of the start finish, coming out onto the start finish straight, should I say. 3/10 apart as they come over the line. Where is Henry on the track? Henry's just coming towards the end of the back straight. Yeah, I reckon the gap between Henry and these two is well under a minute now. And usually a pit stop, if you're just stopping and going, is about 45 seconds. So really at this point, with the fresher tyres that these two are going to have. Oh, it's the Robe's got around Andrew on the exit of the S is there. He's managed to go around the outside of him. Andrew looked like he just had a bit of a double take there as they come in through that sequence of corners, and Robe now has P2, and that could potentially be the net lead. By the time we get to the end of this race, with Henry really struggling on these worn out tyres in the lead of the race, Robe there now has P2, but Andrew's just going to try and come back at him down the long straight which leads down towards the final sector. But Robe's going to defend the inside line. Andrew looking to the outside. I think he's just a little bit too far back. Is he going to try around the outside here? Andrew looking. Robe's got the inside covered off. Does he go deep? No, he gets it stopped perfectly, and Andrew there has nowhere to go. But Robe there has P2 in this race once again as these two continue to dice it out. But if they battle each other too much, that could throw Henry a bit of a lifeline here on his very worn out tyres. Diego has got a drive-through penalty for track limits. We're just seeing that pop up on the screen there.
Looking to the outside, and he's just a little...
So Robe's now got a reasonable buffer here to Andrew. Is he going to start to pull away now? Is Andrew going to keep him on his toes for the final few laps of this race? That gap looks like it's nearly a second here between these two. Henry's still got to come in and make his stop at some point over the next couple of laps, but when does he do it? Exeron has got his second drive-through tonight, so he has really been overstepping those track limits a little bit too much. But everybody on this circuit has been into the pits, barring this man here, Henry, who's trying to go the entire race on one set of tyres. We saw how much Chinaski was struggling a few laps ago. Oh, and there's somebody parked on the racing line there coming through the stadium section. That is Sparky Franchise there. What is he doing? He needs to be careful. Henry there managing to avoid disaster, but Sparky Franchise, what are you doing? Oh, Henry's lost it! Going through the stadium, completely unrelated to Sparky Franchise, thank goodness. But Henry here has made a big mistake on his worn tyres, and we've got probably about 4 laps left in this race. So he's got to limp round and somehow make this work. Oh no! And surely that is going to give Robe and Andrew P1 and 2 here in this race. Henry limping round, getting in the pits, mate. Just let's give us an idea of where we stand as he's coming around and he's continuing on. But he must have lost at least 10 seconds there just through going off the track. He also would have had a bit of contact with the wall there, so he must have a bit of damage on the car as he comes over the line. We're starting lap 26 of the race here. He's got a McLaren here. That's Guido Christ, who's trying to unlap himself. But Henry with damage on the front of the car, and his gap to Robe and Andrew's now going to be pretty much nothing as they're coming through the final sector here. So Henry making a huge mistake here with a big lead, but with tyres that are going to be absolutely gone. And he's just got to try and nurse them around the last, I don't know if we're going to have 3 or 4 more laps. It's going to actually be quite close here. If Henry's lucky, we might only have 3 laps left, including this one, but he is hanging on by a thread right now. As Robe and Andrew are coming out of the last corner up towards the line, and they are about to start lap 26. I don't know what the gap is because the gap is not coming up on the screen, so we're not getting any idea of what the gap is between Henry and Robe and Andrew, but I reckon it's about 40 seconds. Just looking at where they are on the track, I think it's about 40 seconds. These two are about right now, I think they're about 15 seconds into the lap. Henry, I think, is about 1 minute and 5, 1 minute and 10 into the lap. So, oh, I tell you what, it's going to be tight. 49 seconds. It's now popping up on the screen momentarily. There, I just saw in the top left of the screen the gap between Henry and Robe is 49 seconds. So Henry's going to have about a 45-second pit stop. But his tyres are so shot that I think that Robe and Andrew are going to catch up to him before the end. Henry here is just clinging on, but he's all over the place and he's having to really feather the throttle. He's having to take it so easy here through the final few laps of this race. He's got Guido Christ trying to unlap himself. Guido Christ is matching the pace of him. Guido Christ has been about a second and a bit off of Henry's pace. That just goes to show what a difference the fresh tyres are making. But Henry does pull the trigger this time around and is in the pits. But crucially for Henry, we're only going to have 2 more laps in this race, so he's got less time to have to try and nurse these tyres. He's not going to be changing tyres. He's going to be in and out of this pit box very, very quickly here, hopefully, if all goes well. Here come Robe and Andrew though through the final sector of the lap, and have they done enough to get ahead of Henry, or is Henry going to just pip them out of the pits? Henry's now off the jacks and he will be away in a moment. So Robe and Andrew coming through the final sector. Henry's now moving and is heading down towards the end of the pits. So here comes Robe and Andrew into the penultimate corner of the lap. Henry might just come out in the lead here. Robe into the final corner. Henry is about 100 metres from the end of the pits. As here he comes, he's now off the limiter. Henry up towards turn 1. Here comes Robe and Andrew. So the gap is going to be about 5 or 6 seconds between Henry and Robe, with 2 laps left in this race. These two, Robe and Andrew, on fresh tyres. Henry on absolutely shot to pieces tyres that he's done the entire race with. Can Henry hold on to this lead that he's got? He's got just over 5 seconds to these two, but they're going to be absolutely flying around the last 2 laps of this race. 4.9 is the gap between Henry and Robe now. Could Henry be about to curse that mistake that he made a couple of laps ago, where he binned it into the wall, lost about 5-10 seconds, probably about 7 or 8 seconds he lost altogether through that mistake. He needs to just keep it clean and not make any mistakes through these final couple of laps. A lap and a half left to go, as he's got a bit of traffic here in front of him. Who is this? I'm not sure who it is at the moment. Can't tell who it is at this stage, but he's got some traffic which he needs to clear. And Henry, the gap was 5 seconds coming through coming to finish the lap. What is it through the first sector, or sorry, the middle sector should I say? We're going to find out what it is through the middle sector. It's 4.4, so it's only come down half a second, but a lot of that middle sector is straight. But Henry at the moment is hanging in there as he's got some traffic here. How is he going to negotiate it? He makes his way through. There are the 2 chasers behind him. I think Henry might just about be okay here, but it is going to be very, very close. That's all I can say. It's going to be so tight. This is the part of the track where these two will be flying around. They'll be making up the time on those fresher tyres. Look at that. I reckon it's probably about 3.5 seconds now. Maybe even less than that, as we're about to start the final lap of the race here at Circuit of the Americas. You can see the other two coming around the final corner in the background there. Gap is 3.4 seconds between Henry and Robe. Has Henry got the legs with that damaged Audi, with the worn out tyres? Has he got enough in the tank to hold on here, with Robe and Andrew coming up on him like a flash? There is the race leader in the foreground. There is the other two coming through turn 2 right now, as they've got a lap car just in front of them which they've got to negotiate. But Henry has led most of the race here tonight. Robe did briefly get ahead of him before the pit window, but obviously then Robe had a longer stop, was putting fresh tyres on and putting fuel in. Henry's had enough fuel to last the race. He's done the entire race on 1 set of tyres. The gap coming down, continues to come down at a rate of knots here as they're coming around the first sector checkpoint. But the gap only is still 3.3, so these two haven't made too many gains here on Henry coming through the first sector. But saying that, they seem to have gained quite a bit through this part of the lap. That gap to me doesn't look like it's much more than 2 seconds. Here we come down the long straight once again for the final time here in Tier 2 at Motive for the GT3 Championship on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Henry looking to still keep himself there, just about. The gap just over 2 seconds as Robe's just now about to put a lap here on one of the back markers. Well, not even really a back marker, but you know, that is he's just put a lap there on Codalungu, so Cod there goes a lap down on these 3. But Henry has got just a few corners left to go. You can see how close Robe is now, but I don't think Henry can lose this race. He just needs to nurse his car through these final 4 corners of the lap. And what a drive it's been from Henry tonight. Took a fantastic pole position and has shown his skills as a tyre conservationist here. The Sergio Perez of Motive Racing's GT3 Tier 2. Henry coming into the final corner here at Circuit of the Americas. He's led most of the race. He had it under control, but it looked like he might be losing it a couple of laps ago where he made his mistake, got a bit of damage. But Henry over the line, takes the checkered flag and manages to hold on here. One more lap and I think Robe would have had him, but Henry is your winner. Robe second. Andrew completes the podium. And that was a fascinating end to that race. Henry managing to make the tyres work just as we see Kangi coming into the final few corners here. And it's going to be a 4th place here, best of the rest for him, as he comes out of the final corner in the number 11 Bentley. P4 for Kangi in the end. Kev Sim coming through the final few corners here, and it's going to be 5th place here for him in the end. 17 if you're currently watching. Guys, smash the like button and show your appreciation for this man. What a fantastic drive from Henry tonight. Kev Sim takes 5th place. Nath is coming out up towards the line to take P6. Cabriglia is just coming to the final sector. He's got 3 seconds back to a Cody Monkey, who was battling Nath for most of the race but ended up losing out to Cabriglia with a mistake a few laps from the end. So Cabriglia here coming into the final corner, and here he comes up towards the line. So Cabriglia will take P7. Codlungu, Emafford, GPL all 2 laps down, finishing in 14, 15 and 16 places. Cody Monkey takes P8 in the end. In fact, no, sorry, COD, Emafford and GPL are 1 lap down. They're not 2 laps down, they're only 1 lap down. Tombaz and Gilacris coming over in 9th and 10th. Exeron's just about to come around in 11th place. He's got a few seconds back to Leximate. Chinaski, the last driver on the lead lap by the looks of it. So that's great to see. 13 drivers on the lead lap, and the field's getting closer and closer every week. So it's yeah, so it's not much separating the drivers here. Over an hour race, 13 drivers being on the lead lap, that's not bad at all. So Exeron and Leximate come over in 11th and 12th places. And Chinaski coming up towards the final corner will be the last driver on the lead lap. Codlungu, Emafford, GPL, Diego, Sparky Franchise all finishing a lap down. Spur Time and Drew the Great 2 laps down. And there we go, Chinaski's finished the race, so that is P13 for him. And that is the race for the Tier 2s here tonight at Motive for round 3 of the season here at Circuit of the Americas. Henry taking a fantastic win, making the tyres last the entire race. Superb job there from Henry. Robey and Andrew taking the podium places. Guys, stick with us because we'll be back very, very shortly for the Tier 1s. Give us about 5 minutes or so and we'll be live for that one. Grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a snack, do what you got to do, and yeah, we'll be back in a few moments time. welcome back everybody here to the Motive channel. We are back here for the main event of the evening here for the GT3 Championship on the PlayStation 5 here on ACC. We've got the Tier 1s out on track here tonight at COTA. What a race we just had in the Tier 2s, and hoping for more of the same here for the best of the best here on ACC on the PlayStation 5. We have got 23 drivers in the lobby at the moment. I think we should hopefully be having 24, as I believe Titan Guto should hopefully be getting himself in at some point tonight. So we should be seeing 24 out on track, but for now we have got 23 here. Looking forward to a great night of action here tonight in the Tier 1s. If the Tier 2s is anything to go by, then we're in for an absolute treat. Are we going to be seeing drivers like Jazzman maybe going for a similar strategy to what we saw Henry going for in that Tier 2 race, and going for a full race on one set of tyres? It would be incredible if we do. We've got Pete in the comments saying good luck Glenn, myself and the female population of Watford are rooting for you. It's another what? Okay, wow, so there's another Watford boy in here? Okay. I didn't know you were from Watford, Pete. I didn't know that Glenn was from Watford either, to be fair, but that's pretty cool. But yeah, nonetheless, we're here in for the qualifying session here at Tier 1. Sorry, I'm just a bit shocked. So wait, you're from Watford, Pete? I didn't know that. Did I know that? I don't think I did know that. No, I'm pretty sure I didn't know that. That's quite mad, to be fair. That is quite crazy. Sorry, I'm a bit shocked. Okay, anyway, right, let's get over that. So we've got everybody out on track except Yellow Army, Scooter Red Paul, Max Power and Matev. They're all sat in the pits at the moment making some final adjustments to their setups. Nico Barani also in the pits as well. Pete says, I'm from Watford, Glenn's from South London. Oh, fair play, Pete. Yeah, I'm myself, I'm from Canterbury. I live in the Canterbury estate, so I don't know whereabouts in Watford you're from. I'm basically giving away everything about me now, which isn't good. Shouldn't really be doing that, but nonetheless I don't really mind. But yeah, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? Small world, eh? GGJ says, good luck guys, hoping for a good race. Definitely so, GGJ, hopefully we see exciting action. Robert Raronsky saying, by the way, I'm Robe. Yeah, what a race in Tier 2. You came very close, mate, to be fair. You were probably one lap away from taking the win, but Henry's, in the end, his no tyre change strategy actually worked out. I don't know how the hell he managed to do it. We saw drivers like Chinesky attempt the no tyre change strategy, and we saw for about 10 minutes from the end he was losing tons of grip, and I thought that Henry was going to be the same, but somehow he just managed to squeeze it out, and to the end it really was a remarkable feat from him. But yeah, it was very exciting to see. GGJ, I imagine he's going to be supporting Raki tonight. I know they are friends. I know they have raced together in the same party chat in the F1 League on a Friday night here at Motive. Raki racing in the Aston Martin tonight, his first attempt, his first crack at the Aston Martin. So how is he going to fare in that one? That's going to be exciting to keep an eye on. Pete says just down the road, mate, Callowland. Oh, so North Watford, Garston, sort of, yeah, not quite Garston, but North Watford. I know exactly. Yeah. So yeah, literally round the corner. That is absolutely insane. Well, who would have thought? I mean, the fact that you're from Watford, the fact that you mentioned it in the comments, and the fact that I, you know, happen to be from Watford as well, it's just mad. It really is. But yeah, currently still yet to see any lap times on the board here in a Tier 1 race. But yeah, Pete getting behind Glenn in the comments. Glenn currently driving around. He's in the 888 Aston Martin. Both of these guys, I think they've got something in common. They're both 888s, Pete and Glenn. But yeah, Glenn is currently coming around the long straight here, down the back straight. But Caterpillar currently, man, sat on top of the leaderboard here on a 206.6. He's just 2 tenths clear of Tynus in the house. Jazzman in third on a 206.8. So Caterpillar, could he maybe be a bit of a challenger to Tynus and Jazzman tonight? The Audi has looked really strong around the circuit in the Americas. We saw in Tier 2 earlier on, it was 2 Audis in the top 3. It just seems to be a quick car around this track, and maybe tonight Caterpillar can take advantage of that and be a factor factor, be a challenger for this race win here. 20 people currently watching the streams here tonight on YouTube. Guys, smash the like button if you're enjoying what you're seeing tonight, as Luca goes to the top of the leaderboard there in the BMW, go on a 206.5. But yeah, early stages at the moment in this tier 1 qualifying session. MVGT is currently sat in P5. Andrew in the comments saying thanks for the support. Totally, absolutely, no worries, mate. Yeah, you have a great race tonight, to be fair, and I thought you might have had a chance of getting Robe at the end, but obviously both of you were coming for Henry at a rapid rate, and I thought surely they're going to get him, but Henry just managing to cling on. But yeah, you two, Roby, you and Roby had a great battle throughout the race. Really enjoyed watching that one. It was absolutely brilliant. But currently Luca is your main man here in this session. He's got just under a tenth of a second over Caterpillar at the moment. You've got Titus in the house there running in P3 in this qualifying session. Jazzman currently in P4. Can he go to the top of the leaderboard? Jazzman has taken both wins so far this season. Last week quite dominant at Zolder as well. Took the win by over 14 seconds in last week's tier 1 race. Titus brought it home in second. Titus got a bit unlucky, to be fair, in the first round of the season at Monza, where he ended up disconnecting with 2 laps left to go, and I did end up giving him points for P10 because that's where he would have finished if he had finished the lap that he was on at the time of the disconnection. But obviously lost a few points to Jazzman in that one. Saying that though, you get 50 points for a win, you get 40 for a second, so Titus in the house, if he wants to go on a bit of a run right now, win a few races in a row, he could definitely be able to challenge Jazzman. If you say, for example, Titus wins the next 4 races, which is unlikely when you consider the fact that Jazzman is likely to win 1 or 2, but you know, if Titus were to string together a run of 4 wins in a row, he would be leading the championship by 4 points. So never say never, you know, it's a long season, 8 rounds this season, different from what we usually done. We usually done 5 or 6 rounds a season. This season is 8 rounds, so there's still plenty of time for Titus to get himself back into this championship. But yeah, he's going to need a very, very solid and consistent run of form to be able to. But currently you got Caterpillar there in the box, so he's brought it in. He's currently just under half a second off for the provisional pole time being set by Titus. What's Jazzman got in the locker to try and maybe get closer to that? Totally zero cases. Your revenge has been settled in relation to Andrew. Obviously Andrew disconnecting last week at Zolder, knew he had a score to be settled here tonight, and he's gone and done that very well here tonight with a 3rd place in tier 2 earlier on. But currently we're here for the tier 1s right now. 24 drivers out on track. We had 21 earlier on in tier 2, so all in all we had 45 drivers turn out tonight for round 3 of the season, which is the second best turnout we've had so far this season for the GT3s. Opening week at Monza we had 51, obviously a track that's very popular, Monza, so we expect a good turnout around Monza. And obviously last week at Zolder we had 43, this time 45, so great turnouts throughout this season so far. We're averaging 46 people turning out every week, so that is incredible. And again, it's just a big thank you to all the drivers who have signed up to this championship for making it what it is this season across both tiers. And yeah, hopefully we get some great racing here in the tier 1s. But we see Titus there just coming out of the hairpin onto the long back straight. Somebody stacked it there coming out onto the back straight. It looks like a BMW, but I'm not sure which one. Is it Luca maybe? No, it's not Luca. Was it Max Power? No. Mary Louise? No. Oh, it was Nicola Barani who lost it there coming out onto the long back straight. But yeah, currently Titus in the house, top of the leaderboard on a 206.1, knocking on the doors of the 205. So really good lap time indeed there from Titus. Has he got any more in the tank? I don't think surely he hasn't got more in the tank. That is a scorcher of a lap time. Tier 2 pole time was a 207.3 from Henry. So Henry, if he were racing in tier 1, would be in P7 on this leaderboard. So there's a definite step up from tier 2 to tier 1, but it's not a huge gap. I think yeah, the top 3 in tier 2 would all be in the top 10 in tier 1. And I think in fact there's a few more, maybe a couple more of the top 5 in the tier 2 would have been in the top 10 in tier 1. So definitely I think by the end of this season, obviously the top 6 in tier 2 will have earned their bacon getting into tier 1. But we did have one early promotion to tier 1 this season. That was Titan Guto, who doesn't appear to be here tonight. So I don't know if Titan Guto is hoping to get himself in before the end of the session, but as it stands we haven't got him in here. So looking like he's not going to get his chance to make his debut. Obviously, we moved him up from Tier 2 to Tier 1. We haven't heard any sort of like murmurs from him. He hasn't said that he's not going to be here, so I'm not sure really what's gone on there. But it's a shame, because I was looking forward to seeing how he would gel going into Tier 1 from Tier 2. Obviously, he's won both of the Tier 2 races so far this season, but Titan Guto not here, which is a bit of a shame, really. Yeah, we're coming right to the end of the qualifying session now, so hopefully we'll see him. If not, then it is what it is, I guess. Cody Monkey saying that was an awesome race. Totally 0K says my network is lagging bad now. I don't know if I'll make it to the end of the race. We've also got Totally 0K saying Cody Monkey, well done in quali and in the race. Cody Monkey says, I don't know where that quali that came from. It's my personal best at COTA. You were caught in the moment, says Totally 0K. Hi everyone, says Dimenta. Welcome along, Dimenta. Dimenta has raced with us in the on the PS4 on ACC a few seasons back when we used to run on a Wednesday night. Welcome along. Good to see you, mate. If you're on the PS5, definitely feel free to join the leagues here on a Sunday night that we've got in the GT3s. Also, a bit of an update on, I know I said on the Discord server in the week that I'm planning to start up another couple of leagues on ACC. The plan is to set up a GT3 Sprint Championship potentially on a Wednesday. I did ask if people would be up for a GT4, but the response wasn't particularly positive, so only 10 people said that they'd be up for a GT4 championship on a Wednesday. So I'm thinking maybe do a GT3 Sprint Cup on a Wednesday instead, so that would just be two 30-minute races rather than the 1 hour format we got on a Sunday. And then on Saturday we'll be running a Porsche Super Cup, which will be a sprint and a feature race, so a 20-minute sprint race, 40-minute feature race. And that will be neither of those races will have pit stops, by the way, so it'll be straight out sprint to the line in both of them. But a feature race, obviously double the length of the sprint race. But yeah, well, that will be the plan on a Saturday. So we're hoping to start up another couple of the leagues, and I will be putting up sign-up forms for that hopefully tomorrow. But hold fire on that, we'll have to see. But yeah, the plan is to be putting up sign-up forms for those two leagues tomorrow, and then there'll be 5-round championships, so they won't be the 8 rounds that obviously we've had for the other championships, like the GT3s for example, but it will just be a 5-round season which will run from week 4 until week 8 of the other championships, but obviously it'll be rounds 1 to 5 for those particular championships, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's definitely the plan. So keep an eye out, guys, because if you're on the PS5 and you race on the GT3s, there are a couple more leagues which I'm hoping to unveil in the coming days. Hopefully tomorrow, fingers crossed, I'll be able to find the time to put those sign-up forms out. But yeah, I feel like having so many drivers on in the GT3s, you know, it just makes no sense to only have that available to people. I want to be able to provide more opportunities for people to race, and you know, if anybody's having to sit on the sidelines waiting for a spot in Tier 2, then I'll definitely like to get them in, get out on the track. But we've got Totally 0K saying I'll be there for the Porsche Super Cup. Hopefully my schedule will let me. That's good to hear, mate. And yeah, hopefully there'll be many more people. Over 21 people said that they'd be up for the Porsche Super Cup. So it's obviously proved quite popular, a popular idea, but we just need to get the sign-ups through the door, get that figured out, and then we'll be starting that up in the next week or so. But currently we're coming towards the end of the qualifying session here, and it's currently Tynus in the house, who's setting the pace on a 206.1. He's got just under 0.4 of a second over Luca. Tynus needs to gain big points on Jazzman for the rest of this season, because he's currently sat 36 points adrift of him. Jazzman, though, not having the night tonight. I don't know if this might be a bit of a bogey track for him, maybe COTA, but he's currently only, I mean, I say only, he's in the 206s, but all the top 6 really setting a very quick pace here tonight. Jazzman comes over the line, goes P3 there, so gets himself within 0.4 of a second of Tynus's time. But Luca here splitting the big two, Tynus and Jazzman. So Luca here doing a very, very impressive job so far tonight. Can he continue to be the cork in the bottle here for Jazzman? We've got MVGT in 4th, Caterpillar within half a second of the provisional pole time, Ludo pretty much within half a second of the pole time. So you've got 6 drivers, the top 6 separated by half a second here. It's extremely close in this session. We've got GGJ saying ACC is very popular, 30 drivers on an F1 grid would be fun. No, it wouldn't, GGJ. It's bad enough with 20. Oh no, I've just selected, oh, there's no way out of this. Guys, give us 2 minutes. I'm just going to have to jump out of the session because there's no way out of this. There's no way of undoing that. So we're going to be, if I didn't go out of the session, we'll be running on cockpit camera. So give us a second, we'll be back in a moment. I just pressed the wrong button. Apologies for that, guys. We're back here once again. We just had to quickly jump out because we accidentally clicked on the cockpit cameras, and there's no way of changing it. Once you're on a cockpit cameras, there's no way back, so had to jump out of the server and get ourselves back in. But currently it looks like we've got Tynus, who's going to be taking pole position here for round 3 of the season. Tynus in the house here, getting his first pole, I think, for quite a while. I don't know if he managed one in season 1. Well, I can't actually remember him managing to beat Jazzman in a qualifying session at any point, if I'm honest with you. He's beaten him in a few races. I know they're usually very close in the races, but if my memory serves me correctly, I think this is the first time that Tynus has beaten Jazzman in a qualifying session here at Motive. If you guys, if either of those two remember a time when Tynus has out-qualified Jazzman before, then feel free to let me know, but I can't think of a single time, at least off the top of my head. But Luca actually getting in between them tonight. Jazzman only P3. I say only P3, he's 4/10 off of the pole time, but having said that, he was tantalisingly close to only being P6. If he had gone a 1/10.5 slower, he would be P6, so he's not going to be too unhappy with P3, I'm sure about that. It could have been a lot worse, but yeah, Tynus in the house, pole position, and actually quite a dominant pole when you think about it. Nearly 4/10 of a second his gap to Lucas, so he's really pulled out the stops. He's put in the practice, and he knows he needs to score big points over Jazzman in the remainder of this season, because obviously Jazzman has quite a big lead over him in the standings. Tynus isn't second in the standings either, so there's a few drivers in between them. I'm going to read through the championship standings just quickly whilst we're getting ready to go here. So yeah, coming into tonight, Jazzman leads the way on 100 points ahead of MVGT, who sits in second on 70 points. Then you've got Luca, who sits in third on 64 points. He's actually tied with Tynus on 64, so both of those two are 36 points behind Jazzman. Ken Powers sits in fifth in the standings on 58 points. Counterpillar 57 points in sixth in the standings, followed by Matev, who's in seventh in the standings on 54 points. He's a long way down the order tonight. Tom Quarantine sits in 8th in the standings so far on 53 points, followed by Johnny, who's on 48 points. I don't think Johnny's here tonight, actually. No, Johnny Renwick isn't with us tonight. He sits in 9th on 48 points. Mary Louise completes the top 10 in the points, and he is on 46 points so far this season. But we have got a really good turnout here tonight for the tier 1s. 25 drivers on the track, which is absolutely brilliant. Titan Guso did actually get himself in the session just at the end as well, which is good, because obviously I wasn't sure if he was going to make it. We thought that High Grade and Carmicel weren't going to make it tonight, but it turned out that they could. And we even had the luxury of having a reserve jump in, Raki, racing with us tonight as well. So yeah, 25 cars on the grid here tonight, so that means we've had 46 turnout across both tiers for this evening. So that's not far off the 51 that we had at Monza a couple of weeks ago. Last week at Zolder, bit of a blip, 43, but yeah, great turnout here tonight for the GT3s at Motive on ACC once again. And we're moments away here from the start of our little formation, which will be just around the final sector of the lap through the final 2 corners. Then we'll be out onto the start finish straight, and we'll go at the second control line, not the start finish line, because at the start finish line they wouldn't all be on the start finish straight, so it'd be a bit unfair on the drivers down the order. So they'll be going green at the second control line, at which point it will be Tynus's prerogative to get the race underway officially. But here we come around the final corner here at Circuit in the Americas. We had a fantastic race a few moments ago in the Tier 2s. Are we going to have a similar story here in the Tier 1s? This is the creme de la creme of GT3 racing here on Assetto Corsa Competizione on the PlayStation platform. And here at Motive, we are delighted to be able to bring you the action here live and uninterrupted on this Sunday evening. As we're coming up on the line now, and we are moments away from green flag as we're just coming over now. And there we go, green, green, green. We are racing down towards turn 1. As in the background, you've got Luca trying to cover off the advances here of Jazzman. Jazzman gets a quick start as Tynus goes very deep into turn 1. Ever so wide there from Tynus in the house. Does Jazzman get a move done as they come through turn 2? It's going to be quite close here, but Jazzman looks to try and gain 2 places in the first few corners. Tynus in the house has the inside and keeps onto the lead coming through turn 2. But Jazzman up into P2 ahead of Luca, and you've got MVGT just behind them ahead of Caterpillar, ahead of Luca. Ludo down to P5, then you've got Alampa, but Jazzman there managing to get in between the leaders there, and Tynus in the house leads coming through the first sector, but Jazzman in second ahead of Caterpillar, followed by Luca in 4th ahead of Ludo. Alampa in 6th ahead of Max Power, followed by MVG2, who's dropped down to 8th place. Not a great start for him. Awesome Gumball in 9th. PS Vids is up into P10, so it's been a good start here from the reigning champion, making his first appearance actually this season. Wasn't able to make the first 2 races, so he's had his work cut out here, but nonetheless up into P10 in the early stages. You've got Epiphany there in 11th ahead of Nicola Barani, who's got Matev looking to his inside, and Matev's going to try and complete the move, but Nicola keeping it on the outside there and holding on to P12 for the time being. Karmasari in 14th place ahead of R. Parker, followed by Tom Quarantine. Then you get Scudero Paul in 17th, followed by Mary Louise. Brando in 19th ahead of High Grade, followed by Raki, who's in 21st place. Then you got Glenn, Lol 3000. Titan Guto got himself in the session in the end. It's got ahead of Yellow Army up into 24th place. Yellow Army currently completing the classification there in P25. But Tynus here leading the race here on this opening lap. Jazzman has got Caterpillar on the back of him here, but Jazzman getting himself from 3rd to 2nd place. Luca there running in 4th ahead of Ludo as we're coming through the stadium section here on lap 1. You got PS Vids trying to challenge Awesome Gumball there for 9th place at the moment, but action all over the place right now on this opening lap of the race here at Circuit in the Americas for the Tier 1s. But the important thing for Tynus in the house that he's managed to maintain track position there on Jazzman. Jazzman was attacking like crazy through the first few corners, but Tynus just about managed to get the inside for turn 2 and hold on to the lead. Caterpillar is now hassling the back of Jazzman as well. We don't know what strategy these guys are on, whether or not they're full tanking it or if they're going to be half tanking it and changing tyres here in the pit stops. We saw that Henry, the race winner from the Tier 2 race, just managed to hold on to the tyres at the end. I wonder if any of the Tier 1 drivers were watching that and maybe taking tips and thinking they can do it too. I'll tell you what though, I wouldn't recommend it because Henry was hanging on for dear life at the end of the race. As we see Epiphany looking to the inside of a PS Fitz coming into turn 1. You got Matev there who's just ahead of R. Parker, followed by Karmasar and Tom Quarantine. But no particular dramas here on the opening lap, no crashes, no one's got damage or anything like that. Everybody's kept it extremely clean here in the first lap, and this is great racing from the Tier 1 boys so far. There's a gap at the front between Tynus and Jazzman, just over 1 second at the moment as they're coming through the S's here on lap 2 of the race. But yeah, it's been an exemplary showing here from these drivers. No real major incidents so far. Everybody just kept it tidy, kept it clean. Oh, his High Grade's binned it coming through the S's here on lap 2. So he's had a bit of a moment there. No damage on the car by the looks of it. He's got away without damage, but he's lost quite a bit of time there, and he's now down to the back of the pack here. So not what High Grade would have wanted at all there. Looking on the timing board, we've got Epiphany trying to attack on PS Vids as these two are battling it out over P10. You've got R. Parker who's up into 13th place now, so he's got ahead of Matev by the looks of it. In terms of the rest of them, High Grade was on the back of Glenn, but he obviously stacked it coming through the S's, so that put pay to that battle. Luca's on the back of Caterpillar, Max Power trying to challenge on the back of Arlampa, MVGT right on them as well. PS Vids is not too far off of Awesome Gumball, but he's got Epiphany trying to challenge him for P10 as well, as Brando is looking on the back of Scooter Paul at the moment. Law 3000 looking around the outside of Brando here. We'll have the inside for the right-hander coming into the stadium section. Does he get the move done here? Epiphany there, sorry, Law 3000 should I say, up the inside of Brando. Oh, and Raki there in the background there trying to get involved as Law 3000 cuts the inside of the corner and into the wall there, and he's got a bit of damage there on the front right of that car. I'm sure about that. Raki and Titan Guto moving through up into P20 and P21 respectively, but Law 3000 there losing a couple of places and down to 22nd place here in this race. There's Glenn and the Yellow Army battling out over P23 at this point. Tynus in the house leading the race though, coming down towards turn 1 here on lap 3. He's got just over a second of a gap here over Jazzman right now. There's Caterpillar ahead of Luca, who's got Ludo on the back of him. Arlampa there in the background ahead of Max Power as Max Power goes a bit deep into turn 1. Awesome Gumball there ahead of PS Vids, followed by Epiphany. And then you've got Nicola Barani there in 12th ahead of R Parker, followed by Karmasar, Matev ahead of Tom Quarantine. Mary Louise trying to get onto Tom if he can. Bit of a gap back to these guys. You've got Scooter Paul ahead of Brando, followed by Raki, who's just ahead of Titan Guto. Titan obviously started in 25th place. Was the Tier 2 Championship leader last week. He's had an early promotion up into Tier 1, but has had to do this one from the back, having not set a lap in the qualifying session, but nonetheless he's gained 4 places in the opening few laps of this race, and it'd be exciting to see where he ranks up next to these Tier 1 racers, seeing as he was the runaway dominant driver in the Tier 2s. But we've got Max Power currently on the back of Arlampa as these guys are coming through the hairpin out onto the long back straight. But the gap at the front between Tynus and Jazzman, 1.3 seconds. So Tynus, as it stands in this race, has got the pace over his rival Jazzman. We saw in the qualifying he was the man to beat, so no surprise that he's currently blazing a trail out the front. Caterpillar there in 3rd place ahead of Luca, followed by Ludo. You got Arlampa ahead of Max Power and MVGT. The top 8 broken away a little bit from Awesome Gumball, who's in 9th place. He's got a further second back to PS Vids, who's keeping Epiphany at bay for the time being. Nicola Barani ahead of R Parker and Karmasar as Tom Quarantine's looking to make a move here on Matev down the end of the back straight. Is that job done there for him? I think it is. Yep, Tom Quarantine up into P15 as he made that move down the inside. Worked beautifully there for him. Raki's still on the back of Brando, battling over not P19 in this race. Titan Guto's now giving more pressure to Raki though in this fight, and looking to try and make this a 3-way fight here for P19, as Lol 3000 isn't too far off the back of these guys as well. But Raki there just in the foreground here, shot ahead of Titan Guto. It's still as you are between these guys at the moment. MVGT looking to get closer to Max Power, but Max Power also attacking on the back of Arlampa here as we're coming out over the line to complete lap 3 of the race. 27 of you currently watching the stream. Guys, if you're enjoying what you're seeing right now, smash the like button, subscribe to the Motive Racing channel if you haven't already. If you want to join, be sure to go to www.motiveracing.com. We're watching the Tier 1 GT3 drivers here on the PS5 going at it here, doing what they do best here, and it's been great first few laps here. Very close, very clean, no major incidents between drivers in terms of on-track collisions. One driver's made a mistake, that's High Grade, who made a mistake through the S's on lap 2, but everybody's been keeping it really tidy so far as we're watching the battle for P5, which goes all the way from Arlampa down to MVGT. 4 drivers here battling over P5. Jazzman just set the fastest lap of the race on that previous lap from P2, but the gap 1.5 seconds between Tynus and Jazzman at the moment, so Tynus has got a reasonable cushion at this stage in the race. As we go back to the battle here for P5 between Arlampa, Max Power, Ludo and MVGT as they're coming through the hairpin here for the 4th time in this race. You've got Awesome Gumball in the background not too far away. PS Vids just keeping Epiphany at bay at the moment. There's Nico ahead of R Parker and Karmasar, and then a bit of a gap back to Tom, who's got Matev, Mary Louise. Scooter Paul in the group of cars further back has got Brando just over a second behind him. You've got Raki here trying to defend from Titan Guto as they're coming out onto the long back straight, but plenty to watch, plenty to talk about here so far. Titan Guto's got a bit of a run here actually. In fact, Raki's got a run here on Brando as well, coming down this back straight. Is he going to be able to make a move here down the end into the tight left-hander, which is like a hairpin but not really. It's not really tight enough to be a hairpin. Raki here making a move down the inside on Brando. Just Brando leaving the space as Brando actually keep it around the outside. No, he doesn't. Oh, is in fact Titan Guto there squeezing through, pushing Brando out wide. Brando onto the runoff area. Does Titan Guto get that one done? Yes, he does. Into the stadium section they go. Titan Guto up into P20, but Raki they're gaining position. Brando sideways there. Does he lose out to low 3000? He has. In fact, Brando's lost loads of time here to these guys. He's now a few seconds off of them. So Titan Guto there pushing Brando a bit wide and gets the position, but a bit questionable there, I've got to say. He could have been a bit cleaner for sure, but Ludo nonetheless into the pits here at the end of lap 4. And Jazzman has gained absolutely hand over fist on Tynus here. Look at this, there's only 0.3 of a second now separating the top two. So Jazzman has really got it down over the last couple of the laps, and Tynus did have a quite healthy lead before. Now Jazzman putting the pressure on as these guys have gapped Caterpillar by 4 seconds. You got Luca there is on the back of Caterpillar banning over the final podium place, and then he's still got a battle going on for 5th place, which it looks as though Ludo's obviously dropped out of because he's come into the pits, but it's still a three-way battle right now between Lampa, Max Power and MVGT. Ludo obviously going for the undercut, but he's clearly going to have to do the whole race on one set of tyres, because there's no way he's putting tyres on at this point. There'd be absolutely no point. So he'll have got a quicker pit stop and won't have lost as much time in the pits as these guys might if they're half tanking it, for example. But he'll obviously be struggling at the end of the race. We saw the tier 2 race winner Henry. He managed. It was the winning strategy, to be fair. The no tyre change was the winning strategy in tier 2, but the amount that Henry was struggling at the end, it's a risky strategy. I mean, the thing is, right, if you make it work and if you don't make too many mistakes, you can actually make it work and win, or it can be a faster strategy. But the amount of work you have to do to hold on, it just makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. I think you'd be better off to try and just play it safe, really, because when we saw 2 drivers try it in tier 2, we saw Henry make it work just, but then we saw other drivers really struggling. So it's a risky strategy, that's all I'll say. It's a risk. It can work like we saw Henry do, but then again he only just held on to win the race, and you've got to consider the fact that he was leading the race before the pit window anyway. So all in all, it's probably quite even, but it's more risky. So it might gain you a couple of seconds if you make it work, but is it worth the risk? That's the question. That's the point I'm making here, all in all. But nonetheless, GGJ in the comments saying, yeah, hope Jazzman wins. He's currently on the back of Tynus. These two still fighting it out over the lead of the race. Totally 0k showing his allegiance here for Max Power, saying Max, super, Max, super. Shut up, Andy. But currently 3/10 currently separating Tynus and House and Jazzman out the front here. So got 4 seconds back to Caterpillar, who's running in 3rd place still. He's gapped Luca a little bit actually as Caterpillar. So Caterpillar now actually matching the leaders here, but he is, as I said before, nearly 3 seconds adrift. Lamp has still got Max Power and MVGT on the back of him as these 3 battle it out with P5 in this race. PS5 has now got himself into 9th ahead of Epiphany, so he can now focus his attention on Awesome Gumball, who's just about a second up the road from him at this point. R Parker's on the back of Tom Quarantine as these two battled it out with P12. They got Karmasar still on the back of them. They've gapped Matev by just over a second. The Scuderia Paul's got a bit of a run here on Matev actually, and is Paul going to get this one done into the hairpin? He's having a look down the inside. Is this going to be job done for Scuderia Paul? Onto the brakes they go. Goes a little bit deeper. Matev now might go for the run here out onto the long back straight, as they're going to have, he's got plenty of his car alongside Scuderia Paul here. Sorry, Mary Louise, I do apologise, it's not Scuderia Paul. Sorry, Mary Louise, that's Mary Louise who I was referring to. Mary Louise as Scuderia Paul. Mary Louise getting the run back on Matev down the back straight and is back up into P15. Sorry, Mary Louise, I do apologise for that. I was labelling you as the completely wrong driver there. Scuderia Paul was actually 12 seconds behind them on the track, but nonetheless, we go back to the battle for the lead. We've got Tynus in the house and Jazzman 3/10 apart as they're coming out of the last corner to complete their 6 laps to the races, and Arlampa's still got Max Power and MVGT on the back of him as they're coming around to complete their 6 laps to the race. Epiphany still sticking to the back of PS Vids. Can PS Vids now try and chase down Awesome Gumball? Looks like he's closed the gap quite significantly actually through the final sector here. So Awesome Gumball running in P8. PS Vids only 8/10 off the back of him. He's bringing Epiphany with him though, as you've got Nicola Barani there running in 11th place. He's got just over a second to Tom Quarantine, who's got R. Parker and Karmasar still hot in his mirrors at the moment. Mary Louise obviously now having got the move back done on Matev there. Can these two try and chase these mid-pack runners down? You've got Raki now appearing on the back of Scuderia Paul as well, but he's got LOL 3000 on him as well, so lots of drivers in a tight space here. Ludo, Titan, Guto and High Grade have all been into the pits, so 3 drivers are coming to make their pit stops already here in this race. That just leaves the other 22 to come in and make theirs at some point. Tynus and Jazzman, looks like the gap's just crept over a second here between these two, so Tynus has had a bit of a run coming through the first sector here by the looks of it, and has now just extended that gap ever so slightly. So we've got 21 of you currently watching the stream right now, guys. If you are enjoying, please smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please do, as it helps us out an enormous amount. But yeah, the gap just over 1.3 now between Tynus and Jazzman. Currently Max Power looking on the back of Arlampa, coming down to the end of the back straight. He's got a great run here as Max Power. Arlampa's going to defend the inside. Can Max Power go for the cutback here out of the hairpin? Arlampa managing to get a good enough exit here, and Max Power nowhere to go. Arlampa's going to cover the inside. Oh, Max Power's looking to try and send one. Arlampa goes deep, and that might be job done there for Max Power. Arlampa's got to watch out because MVGT in the background is going to be looking to try and capitalise as well. Arlampa looking back down the inside of Max Power. Oh, late on the brakes there, pushes Max Power wide. And here comes MVGT trying to feast on these scraps. There's a bit of contact there between Max Power and Arlampa. MVGT on the outside as Max Power squeezes back through there on Arlampa into P5, and that's job done there for him, but at what cost, as those two might have a bit of damage on their cars potentially. Hopefully they've got away with it, but nonetheless MVGT is really close on the back of these guys now as well. But Max Power there getting the move done eventually, but that dragged on there for quite a few corners, more than I thought it was going to initially. As looking back at the battle for the lead, Tynus has still got just over a second of a gap over Jazzman, as we're still in the relatively early stages of this race. PS Fitz keeping Awesome Gumball on his toes in a battle for 8th and 9th. Epiphany's right there as well, so it is a 3-way battle here for 8th place. Karmasar's still on the back of R. Parker at the moment. We've got Spur Time in the comments saying, come on Glenn, go go go, he says. Tyson Guzo, first race in tier 2 is actually good pace showing, says totally are okay. Yeah, he's gaining on Ludo as well, I've noticed, because the gap was 35 seconds, it's now 33. Titan started at the back as well, and I don't know if he's maybe, I don't know if he's put fresh tyres on. It's not really going to pay much dividends if he has though, because he's got to still do practically the whole race on whatever he's put on, so either way it's probably not going to work out too great. He will have a slight advantage over the guys who don't change tyres, but not much. He wouldn't get a full benefit if he pitted at the halfway mark, but nonetheless I think he's still in a reasonably okay position. But yeah, gap's now come down a little bit at the front between Tynus and Jazzman. It's 0.8 of a second now separating those two. You've got Max Power still running in P5s. We've got side by side here between Arlampa and MVGT coming down to the end of the back straight. MVGT looking up the inside, but Arlampa going later on the brakes and keeping it around the outside for the time being. But MVGT just continuing to put that pressure on at the moment. So this battle's still going on for P5 right now. Max Power, Arlampa and MVGT, but MVGT still not able to get the move done on Arlampa. Tom Quarantine's still on the back of Nicola Barani, as we can see there. R. Parker and Karmasar still waiting in the wings as well. Raki's just dropped off of Brando a little bit. Brando's actually closed up onto the back of Scuderia Paul here. So Brando's actually got ahead of Raki. I don't know where that happened, but he's up into 19th nonetheless, is Brando. As Ludo's now got ahead of Yellow Army up into 21st place. Obviously Yellow Army's still yet to pit. Ludo has been in to make his pit stop already, and Ludo was up there in the battle for I think P5 at the time that he came in, so he'll be looking to try and get the undercut on Max Power, R Lamper and MVGT if he can. That might be a huge undertake strategy from those early pit stoppers. Yeah, but the thing is, their tyres are going to be going at the end of the race, so it's not going to be too advantageous for those who do that. PS Vids is right on the back of Awesome Gumball here as they're coming out of the S's and looking to try and nab P8 if he can. But Awesome Gumball and PS Vids are also quite close to this battle for P5 between Max Power, R Lamper and MVGT. So this is a battle that kind of consists of 6 cars really, all the way from Max Power all the way down to PS Vids. Sorry, Epiphany really. Well, actually PS Vids has gapped Epiphany now by nearly 2 seconds, so Epiphany may be out of that battle, but this is definitely 5 cars in this hunt battling over 5th place. So plenty to watch here. Jazzman's just closed the gap to Tynus a little bit, gap now down to 0.7 of a second between those two. Cody Monkey said, I think Titan's Guto's strategy is to get places on the undercut, some clean air and consistent laps instead of fighting. And that's a very good point. But obviously he came in the first 10 minutes of the race, so if he's got fresh tyres on, he's still going to have to do practically the whole race on those tyres. He'll have a very slight pace advantage over the guys who don't put tyres on, but his tyres are still going to be going off in relation to those who come in and put fresh tyres on. So it might pay dividends now, but then again, I can't see it really working out for him in the long run. And nonetheless, we can see NVGT ever closer to the back of our Lamper, but still can't find a way through at the moment. As Max Power's gapped these by 2 seconds. Obviously he made the move on our Lamper a couple of laps ago, and he's now said see you later, goodbye to these guys. Awesome Gumball and PS Vids still joined at the hip as they're coming out of the last corner in the background, but our Lamper for the time being holding on ahead of MVGT. 22 of us currently watching right now. Smash the like button, guys, if you're enjoying tonight. Come on, Jazzman, go into alien mode, says Archie in the comments. Archie races with us in the Clio Cup on a Monday night on Project Cars 2. Voicing his support for Jazzman. He obviously knows a thing or two about Jazzman and his absolutely insane pace, having raced in the Wednesday PS4 GT3 League here on ACC for a few seasons, and obviously he did come second to Jazzman in the championship as well, although it was a best of the rest battle really, because Jazzman did absolutely run away with that season. He was an emphatic championship winner, but nowadays he's got a few people who can keep him on the same page. Tynus is certainly more than a match for him, and is showing that right now. Obviously had pole position as well with Tynus, so this is a track that Tynus loves, and these two old rivals always put on a good show. But Counterpillar, Luca, not too far away either, saying that they're not quite on the pace of Tynus and Jazzman. But I tell you what, each week these two are getting closer and closer to Tynus and Jazzman, and it won't be too long before I think we see them maybe challenging these two for a race win. I'm sure that they'll have a chance of doing so at some point. Every single time we're out on track, these two are just a little bit closer to the top two. In qualifying pace, they're there already. It's race pace where these two just take it to the next level. Because their race pace is so close to their qualifying pace. They're literally only about half a second slower in the races to what they are in qualifying, which is absolutely insane. These guys, they are technicians. They are ACC connoisseurs. They just know exactly what they're doing. They've done endurance races, untold amounts of endurance races. They've done so many laps around this game. They just know exactly what to do around every track and how to do it. In the background, as PS Vids are looking up the inside of Awesome Gumball. Awesome Gumball goes a little bit wide coming to the penultimate corner. PS Vids will have the inside line for the final corner. Awesome Gumball trying to hold it around the outside. PS Vids gets onto the power nice and early out the last corner, but Awesome Gumball is going to try and return the favour coming down the start finish straight. As here we come over the line to complete lap 11 of the race, or lap 10 actually, should I say. But PS Vids has got Awesome Gumball looking back down his inside into turn 1. Awesome Gumball goes deep into the corner, and PS Vids says thank you very much indeed. Awesome Gumball might lose out here to Epiphany as well. Yes, he does. So Awesome Gumball down to P9 there in that one. PS Vids up into 7th place because of our Lamper coming in. So he obviously was making the move for P8, but our Lamper coming in, so everybody moves up a position. Our Lamper was P6 before we came in, so is he going to be trying to get the undercut on Max Power? Can MVGT get the overcut here on our Lamper? Obviously we'll find out the answer to these questions as this race goes on. Commissar looking quite racy on the back of Nico here, as these guys coming around through the S's, just on the just past the S's now, and through the middle sector they come. But yeah, Commissar at the moment looking very close on the back of Nico. Gap is come down between Tinus and Jazzman. It's now only 0.4 of a second, but Tinus still weathering this pressure from Jazzman, just holding on, keeping his head above water here, doing everything he has to do here at Circuit in the Americas tonight. He knows he's got a big points gap to overhaul. He sits well behind Jazzman in the points for this season so far. 36 points is his deficit to Jazzman. Jazzman isn't actually, Tinus isn't actually second in the championship. It's actually MVGT who sits second in the standings on 70 points. Jazzman leading it on 100 points. This man here, Tinus, on 64 so far for this season, but he knows he needs to get 4 race wins in a row if he were to take the championship lead. But this will be a good way to start if he can keep what he's doing right now. Gap just under a second as they complete lap 11. Caterpillar there running in 3rd place right now, just 5 seconds off for the lead. So he's kept them on. He's kept them within sight so far. Luca there running in P4. He's about 10 seconds off for the lead at this stage. As we're approaching the halfway mark in the race, you've got Max Power there running in P5. He's got just over a second to MVGT, so looking reasonably comfortable there. PS Vids, now that he's got ahead of Awesome Gumball, now looking to try and chase down these guys who are battling over P5. So can PS Vids maybe get himself into a top 5 here? He doesn't like this track. He said before on the Discord server in the build up to this that he's not a fan of COTA at all. He says that he couldn't, well, he was a bit frustrated that his first race of this season had to be at COTA. Missed the first 2 races this season. I think he was away from home due to work or something, but yeah, couldn't be on the track for the first 2 races of the season. He is our reigning champion of the GT3 Championship here at Motive. Took the Tier 1 crown last season through utmost consistency, making sure that he was always at the races, always up there in the top 5, finishing in podiums, and then wrapped up the championship at the final round of the season at the Hungaroring, managing to take the win in the final race with a fantastic last lap overtake on Max Power, which Max Power wasn't too happy with, but from my perspective it looked like it was a bit of rubbings racing, and Max Power was on worn out tyres, PS Vids on fresh, and he just went after him and took the win on the final lap of the race. But yeah, Max Power currently only 5 seconds ahead of him on the track actually, so this could be an interesting rekindlement of that particular rivalry. But yeah, PS Vids, his first appearance of the season, looks like he's just lost a bit of time to Awesome Gumball over the course of this lap. Awesome Gumball's gained about half a second on him so far this time around. And gap between Jazzman and Tinus between Tinus and Jazzman has just crept over a second here. So Tinus has had the better of the last couple of laps as we complete lap 12 of the race. Tinus has just eked out that gap ever so slightly here to his big rival. Caterpillar there still going in P3. But has lost time to Tinus. He's now nearly just over 7 seconds off for the lead. Lucas keeping the gap to the 2 leaders at 10 seconds. He's gained a bit on Caterpillar over the last lap or so. So Caterpillar, I think, must have made a mistake on that previous lap. MVGT is still on the back of Max Power as we see Awesome Gumball into the pits here at the end of lap 12. So he becomes the 6th driver here in this race to come in, so that just leaves 19 drivers still yet to come in and make their mandatory pit stop. 22 of you currently watching the stream, smash the like button as I said before if you're enjoying what you're seeing tonight. It's been an interesting night so far across both tiers, and we're currently halfway through. We're into the business end of the night here. We're currently halfway through the final race of the night, but the tier 1s definitely still wide open this race between Tinus and Jazzman. But Tinus seems to have had the upper hand so far in this race. Jazzman currently sitting on the fastest lap of the race, but then again in the early stages he was the one with the momentum, and on those fresh tyres at the start obviously you would be expecting him to go quicker. But are we going to be seeing these guys changing tyres and doing half tank? Has anybody gone for a full tank? Is anybody going to try and do the whole race on one set of tyres like we saw the tier 2 race winner Henry do and just about managed to pull off? But then again, Henry had the upper hand in the first part of the race, so I don't know, maybe he could have gone quicker had he actually done a half and half strategy. You know, I say that he made the strategy work and won the race, but then again he was the pole man and he was also with the other guys in the first stint, so I think that Henry probably could have won the race by more had he done the half-tank strategy and changed tyres. I think he actually lost out by doing the whole race on one set of tyres. Yes, it looked fantastic. Yes, it was impressive. But I think he actually shot himself in the foot by doing that, because he should not have been as close to losing that race as he was. I reckon he would have won the race comfortably had he not done the whole race on one set of tyres. So I still think that the half-tank strategy is the way to go around this track. I think that Henry definitely made his life a bit too hard for himself in the Tier 2 race, that's for sure. But MVGT is really close here on the back of Max Power as they're coming over the line here to complete their 13th laps to the race. PS Vids has just dropped off at the back of these guys a bit, but he has gapped Epiphany, so PS Vids has maybe now found his place in this race here in P7, or are we going to be seeing maybe Ludo bringing himself into that battle, because obviously Ludo came in. Also, our Lampa's come out 8 seconds behind Ludo, so Ludo's gained a lot of time on our Lampa over the course of this race during the pit window. So Ludo obviously came in very early on, but did he put tyres on? Maybe he wouldn't have really needed to, but he might have done, which might have been why he's gained 8 seconds on our Lampa. Our Lampa might make that time up, seeing as he's got tyres that are about, I'd say maybe 10 laps fresher than Ludo's. So is he going to make up that 8 seconds over the course of the rest of this race? That could be one to watch. Nonetheless, Brando in at the end of lap 13. Gap at the front between Tynus and Jazzman just got up a little bit, 1.5 seconds separating those two. Caterpillar within 9 seconds of the lead. Luca is about 13 seconds off of the lead at this point. So yeah, Luca about 1 second and a lap off the pace of the top two, but I wonder if Caterpillar and Luca have gone for a full tank strategy, because if you remember the qualifying session, they were very, very close to Tynus in the house and Jazzman. In fact, Luca actually out-qualified Jazzman in the qualifying session. So I'm wondering if Luca maybe has gone for a full tank strategy and he's trying to do the whole race on one set of tyres, which we saw Henry just about get over the line for the win for in the Tier 2s. But as I said before, I think he made his life more difficult than it needed to be, and I think he probably could have won the race more convincingly had he actually done the half-tank strategy in the first place. But yeah, nonetheless, we'll never know how that would have gone, but I think he would have won the race by considering more than he did had he gone for the half-tank. But nonetheless, it looked great, didn't it? It looked great, it was impressive, it was an exciting race, it was an exciting end to the race, and he gave us a great finish, so thanks for that, Henry, but you could have won by a lot more. But yeah, Max Power still on the back of MVGT as they're coming into turn 1. 6 tenths currently separating these two, battling over P5 and 6. Tynus has extended the gap to Jazzman a little bit. The gap's now 2.4 seconds between these two. The Caterpillar there running in P3, 5 seconds ahead of Luca, who is currently 13 seconds off of the lead. But as I said before, is he planning on going the whole race on one set of tyres? And if he is, maybe he's looking after those tyres a little bit in this first stint, trying to take it easy, not take too much out of them. And could it pay dividends by the time we get to the end of this race? Nonetheless, lap 15 here at Circuit in Americas for the Tier 1 of the GT3 Championship here at Motive. Max Power still putting the pressure on MVGT for 5th place. Ludo's just got ahead of Lowell 3000 up into 13th place. An actual battle for track position here is Awesome Gumball and Titan Guto, both of these having been into the pits already. In fact, Titan Guto ever closer to the back of Awesome Gumball as they come into turn 1. Is he going to send one here into turn 1? Titan Guto was leading the Tier 2 Championship last week, getting a promotion to Tier 1 this week. He's made the move up the inside of an experienced head in Tier 1, but he's going wide onto the sleeping policeman. Awesome Gumball's going to swoop back around the outside here, and he's going to get that position straight back off of him, I think. Titan Guto there. No, he does hold on to it, so Titan... No, sorry, he doesn't, sorry. That is Scuderia Paul on the back of Titan Guto. So yeah, Titan Guto got it a little bit wrong coming out of the turn 1 there, got a bit onto the sleeping policeman, has now dropped back into the clutches here of Scuderia Paul. As we see the two leaders coming into the pits here at the end of lap 15, so Tynus and Jazzman both in. Caterpillar staying out for the time being, Luca also staying out. But over this next couple of laps, we're going to get to see whether Caterpillar and Luca are going to go for a half tank strategy, or have they both maybe gone for the full tank, in which case they'll be putting themselves in a great position to potentially win this race. Although saying that, we know how badly the tyres go off at the end, so that could cost them. But Tynus and Jazzman both getting going now. Tynus is out of the box and away. Jazzman a slightly longer stop than Tynus as he gets it underway again. So there's looks like it's about 4 or 5 seconds between Tynus and Jazzman as they're coming down towards the end of the pit lane. So Tynus now has got a bigger gap than he did before. Maybe just was able to get the car stopped in the box a little bit more efficiently, as Epiphany's also into the pits here at the end of lap 15. But Caterpillar leading the race by 4.5 seconds ahead of Luca. What is their strategy here? Have they got enough fuel to go the distance, and have they looked after their tyres enough to be able to get them to the end? MVGT still going, so is Max Power, PS Fids as well. Have these guys full tanked it here? I suggested that maybe a few of the tier 1 guys might have been watching the tier 2 race and might have seen that the winning strategy was a no tyre change strategy, but as I've alluded to many times over the course of this race, I don't think it was the quickest strategy. I think that Henry could have won the race by a bigger margin had he actually changed tyres. But it's difficult to really know, in all honesty. Caterpillar into the pits nonetheless here at the end of lap 16, and Luca's staying out. So Luca's going well beyond the halfway point here. I reckon Caterpillar is half tanking it. But I think for some reason I feel like Luca is probably doing the whole, or trying to do the whole race on one set of tyres with a full tank in his car. So Luca could be in a really strong position here to gain quite a bit of time on these guys over the pit window. Caterpillar's in the box and he's off and away now. So he's now getting going again. Tynus and Jazzman are just coming through the final sector. And Caterpillar is just about to come to the end of the pit. So you also got Raki there coming out, also Scuderia Paul as well. Yellow Army also in the pits. So these guys all coming out just behind Caterpillar. But Caterpillar into turn 1. Now where are Jazzman and Tynus? They are coming over the start finish line right now. So I wonder if Caterpillar's changed tyres but has done a full tank maybe. Because he's lost a bit of time in the pits, but not much. He's come out well ahead of Tynus and Jazzman. So I wonder if maybe Caterpillar has done one or the other here. I don't think he's done tyres and fuel, but he's done one of them. Maybe he's just put fuel in and has kept the tyres on. Well, I don't think that would make no sense whatsoever. I reckon he's probably put fuel in but not change tyres, or no, change tyres but not put fuel in. That's what I'm trying to say, sorry. Or maybe he's put minimal fuel in, potentially. Maybe he's tried to match his fuel intake to the length of the time it takes to put the tyres on. I don't know, at this point I'm speculating. I am completely and utterly stabbing in the dark here as to what Caterpillar's strategy is, but I think Luca, almost without a shadow of a doubt, has full tanked it and is going to try and go the distance here on this set of tyres. He's got a big gap back to Caterpillar and will probably come out ahead of him, but Caterpillar potentially could have fresh tyres on and could be able to attack Luca at the end of this race. Tynus and Jazzman also are going to be players here at the end of this race. But how is this all going to play out? Maybe Caterpillar hasn't changed tyres. I'm just starting to think maybe now that he's only put fuel in. I think maybe he didn't put enough fuel in, or he's playing it safe with the fuel. But nonetheless, we go back to this battle here for P13 because PS Fids has got Epiphany all over the back of him as Epiphany's looking to the inside into the right hander after the long straight. But the door was open, he couldn't get it up the inside though. Mary Louise into the pits here at the end of lap 17. Pits from P8. Nico Lavorani's on the back of Tom Quarantine. It's these two currently battling over P5, but they're both still yet to pit in this race. They're behind Caterpillar, who has already been into the pits. As Nico, has he got ahead of Tom there? No, he's still behind him. That was a back marker there. I think that was yeah, the number 888 of Glenn GT. So both of those two making their way through ahead of Glenn. Gap between Tinus and Jazzman has come down quite a bit here. It's now under 3 seconds. It was over 4 seconds when they came out of the pit, so Jazzman is really pushing right now. But is he taking a bit much out of his tyres, and will Tinus maybe reap the benefits of a bit more tread at the end of this race? Is Jazzman just pushing a bit too hard at the moment maybe? Could that come back to bite him on the bum by the time we get to the end of this race? Nonetheless, right now he's bringing that gap down very quickly here to Tinus. Tom and Nico still fighting over P5 at this point, but still both yet to pit. Oh, as Mary Louise has got done for speeding in the pits, and so has Lowell 3000 as well. So those two both getting stop-go penalties here for going a bit too hot-headed into the pit lane. And that's unfortunate for both of those two, as we see that Tom and Nico still battling over P5 and 6. Tinus' gap to Jazzman to come down by another 3/10 through the middle sector here. So Jazzman continuing to eat into that gap, which could be for the net lead, but we just don't know how it's all going to pan out with Luca looking to be on a full tank, no tyre change strategy here, as Max Power's in the box and is now off the jacks and is going to be moving in a second. And he should come out behind Tinus and Jazzman, I believe. Yeah, he'll come out well behind Tinus and Jazzman. Probably come out around where Ludo is, I would imagine. There's Max Power just coming towards the end of the pits now. Where is Ludo? Ludo's coming into the final corner. So I think Max Power will come out a little bit ahead of Ludo here. Yeah, Ludo's just coming out over the start finish line now. So Max Power coming up into turn 1. And there is Ludo just coming over the start finish line. So yeah. Max Power a fair way ahead of Ludo, I'd say about maybe 10 seconds ahead of him. So yeah, Max Power looking pretty safe there from Ludo at the moment. Luca's still leading the race right now ahead of MVGT. He's well ahead of MVGT. Luca's battle's got to be with Tinus and Jazzman. Looking very much like Luca isn't coming in for some tyres or fuel. He'll be stopping in his box and off and away very quickly here in this one. Caterpillar though, he's the one who I'm confused about. I can't work out what his strategy is here, because he came in for about, he was in the pits for maybe about 15 seconds. A 30-second stop is what you get for tyres and fuel, but I don't think he could have changed tyres. So I reckon he's 3/4 tanked it and put a little bit of fuel in during his stop and kept the same tyres on. That's my theory here, because a tyre change takes I think 30 seconds. So I think he's doing the race on one set of tyres, but he's just not put as much fuel in. So Caterpillar, he'll still come out behind Luca, I think, and without any tyre advantage. So I think that he was obviously a bit ahead of Luca before the pit window, but he'd definitely spend more time in the box than Luca will. So I reckon Luca will probably come out ahead of Caterpillar by the time he actually comes in to make his stop. But Caterpillar is still 11 seconds clear of Tinus and Jazzman, who have, I will remind you, changed tyres. So these two will have a lot of pace over Caterpillar, but we've probably got about 9 or probably about 10 laps left in this race, I would say. Or probably 9 laps actually. No, think about it, probably 9 laps in this race left. 11 seconds is Caterpillar's gap to Tinus and Jazzman. But then again, these two have fresh tyres, so they're going to be absolutely flying at the end. And we saw in the first race with Henry, he was really struggling at the end on the tyres that he was on. So I reckon maybe Caterpillar might struggle a little bit. But also, what you've got to factor in is that Henry had a full tank in his car from the start of the race. Caterpillar had about maybe 2/3 of a tank in the car, so his tyre wear won't be as bad as what Henry's was in Tier 2. So that could also play a factor. That could mean that he'll be able to save his tyres a little bit better than what Henry did. But 11 seconds to me just doesn't seem enough with about 8 or 9 laps left in the race. I reckon Titus and Jasmine will have too much pace and will catch up to Caterpillar. But what is going to happen with Luca when he comes into the pits? Is he going to come out behind Caterpillar? Because I'll tell you what, the gap is only 34 seconds between Luca and Caterpillar. So Caterpillar could potentially be in a position to maybe even win this race. It's going to be close, that's all I can say at this point. It's going to be tight. But we still got 17 of you currently watching the stream here, guys. I'm just noticing on the timing board that Titan Guto's now got ahead of Awesome Gumball into P14. So Titan Guto's had a strong debut here in Tier 1. He's gone from 25th on the grid up into P14, so it's been a very strong showing. It's Awesome Gumball really closing in under braking there, but not quite getting there in time. As Jazzman here has got traffic in the shape of Nico. Oh no, we've lost Tinus. No, Tinus is disconnected. Oh, what a shame. Tinus in the house is disconnected here on lap, oh, what lap is it? It's lap 21. And Tinus in the house is disconnected. Oh, you've got to feel for him here. Tinus in the house, what is your connection? Oh my god. That is heartbreaking. That is absolutely heartbreaking. And that gives Caterpillar a bit more confidence now, because Tinus was his closest challenger here. Jazzman is 12 seconds behind. Tinus was only about 10 seconds behind Caterpillar, so this has thrown Caterpillar a bit of a lifeline here, running in P3. Could even be the net lead by the time Luca comes in and makes his pit stop. I reckon that Caterpillar will be leading this race when Luca comes in. I reckon Luca at this stage, as it stands, he'd come out in between Caterpillar and Jazzman, but Jazzman is on fresher tyres than both, or will be on fresher tyres than both Luca and Caterpillar, because Luca and Caterpillar are not changing tyres. So they're doing the whole race on one set of tyres. Jazzman on fresh tyres, but if Luca came into the pits right now, he'd come out about 5 seconds behind Caterpillar, and he'd come out about 7 seconds ahead of Jazzman. But Jazzman obviously is going to be flying here at the end of this race. But how is this going to pan out now? Tinus out of this race, and you've got to feel for him, because he was in that battle for the win. But it's all gone horribly wrong for him tonight at Circuit of the Americas, after being in such a great position, and maybe that is his championship now out of the window here. Came into this with it all to do, 36 points behind, but looks like it might be slipping away as Matev coming into the pits here at the end of lap 21 for him. So that now just leaves Luca, MVGT and Nico to come into the pits. When is Luca going to come in and make his stop? Can he extend his gap to Caterpillar here? Caterpillar's gap to Jazzman, currently just over 10 seconds at the moment. Both of these two have been in, but Jazzman is on fresh tyres. Caterpillar is on worn out tyres that he started the race on. Jazzman put his on just after the halfway mark, with about 28 minutes left in the race. So all in all, Jazzman is on about 14 lap fresher tyres. So yeah, just to put it into perspective, basically yeah, so Jazzman has done 7 laps on his tyres so far. Caterpillar's done 21 laps on his. So Jazzman's in a much better position on his tyres. He's bringing the gap down by quite a bit here. You can see it's now down at 9 seconds. But we've probably got 7 laps left in this race. So Jazzman would need to lap about 1.5 seconds a lap quicker than Caterpillar to be on him on the final lap of the race. Is Jazzman going to catch Caterpillar before the end, or has Caterpillar saved his tyres enough to be able to keep on to the position? We believe both of these two are going to jump Luca when Luca comes in, because I don't think Luca's got enough of a gap to Caterpillar. But we're just going to keep an eye on the delta here. Luca's got 15 seconds back to MVGT in second. Let's see what the gap is between Luca and Caterpillar. Yeah, Caterpillar's 34 seconds behind Luca, but a pit stop's about 40 seconds if it's a stop and go. So Luca, as it stands, will come out in second, but obviously Jazzman will come past him because Jazzman's got much fresher tyres. So yeah, as it stands, it's definitely advantage Caterpillar, but 8.5 seconds to Jazzman. Is that going to be enough to take this victory tonight? As Awesome Gumball's got a drive-through penalty here for exceeding track limits. Epiphany's arriving on the back of our Lamper here. Is all they're putting a they're just trying to get past Nico here. So Nico's had a bit of a nightmare there, and our Lamper and Epiphany going past him there. So Nico's lost a load of places here at the start of this lap. Is that Nico? It must be, yeah. Number 7. That is Nico, and he's just, something horrible has happened to him. I don't know what, but he has dropped from 7th to 11th in the space of one corner by the looks of it. And Epiphany and our Lamper and Epiphany here battling over P9 and 10. But that's not gone well at all there for Nico. Ludo's managed to gain a bit on max power here. I don't think max power changed tyres. Ludo did change tyres, but very early in the race. He only changed tyres about 5 laps into the race, so his tyres are only about 5 laps fresher than max power. But at the moment it seems to be paying some dividends, because he's bringing the gap down quickly here to max power, the gap just under 2 seconds. But our Lamper at the moment still holding Epiphany at bay. Epiphany looking to try and stem one on the inside here, down the end of the back straight. Does he get it done? He does get it done. Epiphany, great move there, late on the brakes there from him, and he's up into 9th place. That was absolutely perfectly executed there from Epiphany. Our Lamper could do nothing about it. Saw him coming, because it's got a bit of damage on the front of the car as well as our Lamper, which might be affecting him a bit here, might be costing him a bit of performance. Oh, it's in the background, Nico getting it horribly wrong there through the final part of the stadium section. But these guys have got Titan Guto in P12. Could Titan Guto be eyeing up a top 10 here in his first appearance in Tier 1? He's only about 7 seconds off of a top 10 spot, and he is coming for these guys quite quickly here. So Titan Guto started in P25, back of the grid, didn't put a time in qualifying, and what a performance it would be from him to get into the top 10 from 25th on the grid. But let's keep an eye on the battle between Luca and Caterpillar, because we believe at this stage that Caterpillar will inherit the lead of the race once Luca comes in. But Caterpillar is only 5.5 seconds clear of Jazzman now, and I think we've still got about 5 laps left in this race. So if Jazzman continues to gain at the amount that he is, he's going to be on Caterpillar well before the end of this race. The gap now down to 4.7. So it's coming down really quickly now between these two. Caterpillar's just doing enough at the moment, but Jazzman is chipping away and continuing to make the gains on him. Number 47's drive-through is cleared. That is Awesome Gumball who's now got that done. But Luca's gap to Caterpillar staying at 34 seconds. So Luca, I've said before, Luca's now going to come out behind Caterpillar and Jazzman. So Luca will drop to 3rd place when he comes in to make his mandatory pit stop. MVGT will come out in 4th. So this is the battle for the lead. This is the battle for the win between Caterpillar and Jazzman. And the gap is 4.3 as we start lap 25 of the race. But you know what I think? Oh, the thing is, if Luca doesn't come in until the final lap, we might actually end up having another lap, because he will cross the line as the leader to trigger one more lap as he's coming into the pits. So if Luca stays out longer, he'll give Jazzman more of an opportunity. So we could have 4 laps, we could have 5. It's going to be quite close here as to how many laps we have. It depends on if Luca longs it out to the final lap or not, basically. Luca could have Caterpillar's fate in his hands here, but the gap between Caterpillar and Jazzman coming down ever more here. As we are pretty much in the closing stages of this race. I would say that gap's not much more than 3 seconds. Yeah, that is 3 seconds between Caterpillar and Jazzman. Luca, coming into the final corner. What sort of lap times is he doing? That's the question here. I reckon we might just only have 3 laps left to go in this race. My calculations, my head's telling me we're going to have 3 laps left, including this one. So Caterpillar, if he can keep the gap at less than a second a lap, might have a chance of holding on here. But Jazzman is coming after him at such a rate here. We're coming over the line here. These guys are starting lap 26. The gap's 2.8 seconds between Caterpillar and Jazzman. Has Caterpillar got enough to hold on here at the end of this race? Or is Jazzman going to thwart him and take his 3rd win from 3 races this season? Can Caterpillar end Jazzman's run? It's going to be an incredible fight here to the end of this race. Luca still needs to come into the pits, but we believe he'll drop behind both of these two by the time he comes in. Luca's got to be struggling on his tyres as well, but Caterpillar even more so. Gap down to 2.5 seconds between Caterpillar and Jazzman. You can see that gap is now probably about 2 seconds just by watching them there. Look, there we go. That is no more, that's not more than 2 seconds. It's about 2.2 seconds, I reckon that is. Yeah, that's about 2 seconds between them two. Jazzman with the traction in that Bentley, flying out of that hairpin. And that gap is now about 1.5 seconds. So 1.3 there between Caterpillar and Jazzman. So Jazzman is now looking like he's going to be denying Caterpillar. Caterpillar's made these tyres last the whole race. He can see this race win because he knows that he's within striking distance of Ludo. Ludo needs to come in. So both of these two will be 1 and 2 by the time Ludo comes in. But is Luca, sorry. Why do I keep calling Luca Ludo? I apologise, Luca. Sorry, mate. But MVGT nonetheless coming in at the end of lap 26. Caterpillar and Jazzman coming through the final few corners. Caterpillar's got to abandon any hopes of trying to match Jazzman's pace. At this stage now, he's just got to park his car. He's got to make Audi as wide as he possibly can in these last 2 laps of the race. But can he do it? This is going to be great to watch. Caterpillar here has been losing about 1 second and a bit a lap, but to be fair, 1 second a lap, or just over 1 second a lap, isn't so much that you can't defend. I think if Caterpillar's really smart about this, then he'll be able to make his car as wide as he can and just deny Jazzman. Just make sure that he parks it in the in the sort of the slow acceleration zones. Here he is, he's just trying to back Jazzman up, coming through the S's. Jazzman's so quick through this part of the track, but there's just nowhere to go. It's too narrow through those parts of the track. Caterpillar needs to just back Jazzman up through these parts of the track and then make sure that he gets good exits out of the slower corners. Jazzman though has got a little bit of himself alongside here, and he's now looking to the inside. This could be for the lead of the race, the net lead here. Jazzman side by side here with Caterpillar. Into the hairpin they go. Can Caterpillar get a cut back here as Jazzman goes a little bit deep, and Caterpillar gets the run out of the corner and gets the lead straight back off of him there. Jazzman though will look to try and get the run coming down this long straight, but Caterpillar has seized the lead back and he needs to defend the line coming into the end of this back straight. As here we go, Jazzman now looking to the inside once again. Has he got enough of a run here? Caterpillar around the outside. Jazzman with the much fresher tyres is going to make these moves down the inside, and Caterpillar I don't think is going to have any answer to him, and Jazzman has gone after Caterpillar. He now leads the race here with just over a lap to go. Luca's coming in right now, so he's going to be, I think he's just going to cross the line. So yeah, we're going to have one more lap in this race as Caterpillar and Jazzman coming through the final few corners of this lap. But yeah, Luca making his mandatory pit stop here at the last opportunity. And Caterpillar has lost out to Jazzman. He fought this race, he fought valiantly, tooth and nail here. Kept his tyres going almost all the way to the last lap, but Jazzman has now seized the initiative here as we're coming out of the last corner to complete lap 28, or lap 27 actually, sorry. It's Jazzman now taking the lead of the race with Luca coming in for his mandatory stop on the last lap. I tell you what, Luca, has he got the lead? No, not almost, not quite. In fact, no, he has! Luke on the inside, oh, he's gone deep into turn one, and Jazzman getting it back, and I'll tell you what, Caterpillar here, looking to the outside of Jazzman. Oh my goodness, I did not expect that. I thought that they'd cleared him. And they just about make their way through, and Caterpillar almost being able to come back at Jazzman there. But Jazzman survives, and his fresh tyres should take him away from these two on this final lap of the race. But that was tight there. Luca tried to outbrake Jazzman, saw his race win slipping away, and went for a last ditch hope, hit and hope, kind of like send it and hope move up the inside, but Jazzman saw it coming. And the final lap of the race here, Jazzman on his fresh tyres, Caterpillar and Luca on their worn out tyres have fought really hard in this race, but Jazzman is going to make it 3 from 3 here in this season so far for the PlayStation 5 GT3 Championship Tier 1 for Season 3. As down the back straight they come for the final time. Half a lap left to go here at the Circuit of the Americas. Jazzman has had to fight for this one, I tell you, but he's made it work. What a shame for Tynus having his problem, having his disconnection in this race, but it wasn't for that, I reckon it would have been his race and this would have been a battle for his P2, but as it is, the race win has been decided with a lap and a half left to go. Jazzman making a move on Caterpillar, both of them managing to get the jump on Luca. Luca sending it into turn one, trying to come back at Jazzman, but it wasn't to be. And through the final few corners we come here on the final lap, lap 28 of the Tier 1 race for the GT3 Championship here at Motive Racing for Season 3 on the PlayStation 5 platform here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Jazzman 3 from 3 so far this season. He's going to have a commanding championship lead here going into next week, but Jazzman out of the last corner. It's going to be another win here, a hat-trick so far this season. Jazzman looking unstoppable so far. Oh, brilliant performance from him tonight. Caterpillar takes second, head of Luca in third, but MVGT is going to have to come in, and he's not come in, so he didn't look like he did his pit stop there, so I don't know what's going on there, but MVGT nonetheless, he did come in, but I don't know whether we can rescind that. Maybe if he can send us video evidence that he did stop in his box and make a pit stop, then we can rescind that penalty, but nonetheless he finishes in 4th place provisionally. Max Power coming out the last corner. Ludo's pushing him all the way to the line here. Ludo's trying to give him some here, but Max Power in the end holds on for P5 ahead of Ludo. PS Vids is coming through the final few corners. Epiphany still hassling Tom as they're coming into the penultimate corner of the lap, but I think he's going to get there a bit too late. Tom should have it held on to through the final corner. PS Vids, last season's champion, comes over to take 7th place in his seasonal reappearance. Tom Quarantine over in 8th place ahead of Epiphany, who takes P9. Nico Barani will come around the final corner in a moment. Brando, Mary Louise, Awesome Gumball, Raki and Scooter Paul all finishing a lap down. Lowell 3000 finishing 2 laps down. Nico Barani over the line to finish in P10. And Titan Guto just missing out on the top 10 there, 11th place after starting P25. What a performance there from Titan Guto on his Tier 1 debut. Lara Lampa comes over in 12th place, Karmasar in 13th in the end, and Matev will be the last driver on the lead lap as he's coming around the final few corners. Glenn and Yellow Army both finishing a lap down in P20 and P21. And Matev will be the last driver over the line here tonight for the Tier 1 GT3 Zero Motive on ACC. And he finishes in P13. And that is that, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight. What a race. That went all the way down to the wire. Similar to what we had in Tier 2, except that this time the winning strategy was the half tank. Jazzman ending up taking the plaudits. Caterpillar came so close, a lap and a half away from taking his first win in Tier 1. But guys, I want to say a big thank you to everybody for joining the stream, tuning in tonight, and showing us so much support in the comments. All of you guys who have commented tonight, you are absolute legends. I appreciate the support so much. To all the drivers who turned out tonight, we had 46 drivers turn up across both tiers. The turnouts have been amazing so far this season. I'm loving every minute of this GT3 season on the PS5, and yeah, just keep this up, guys. I'm loving it. Also stay tuned, because I'll be releasing some sign-up forms for the GT3 Sprint Cup on a Wednesday, as well as the Porsche Cup, which will be on a Saturday. But yeah, keep an eye on that, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Join us next week. We'll be live at the same place, same time, as always, for the PS5 GT3s. As my computer's just loading, so I'm just going to check where we are for next week. I'll be getting the server also updated for next week's race, wherever it may be, as I'm just waiting for my computer to load up where we're going to be. So it'll be next week at Silverstone, actually, so that'll be exciting, a track that I know all the corner names, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, Silverstone next week. Join us at 7 PM usual time, UK time, and yeah, thanks everybody once again. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy, enjoy your weekends, what's left of it, not much of it to be fair, but yeah, thanks everybody, and yeah, we'll see you later. Have a good night.